Logan Municipal Council Budget Workshop for May 26th, 2026. I've not made that connection today. It's 26th of 26. We are going to dive into our budget agenda today. And we're going to start with our Light and Power Department and Mark Montgomery, if you want to run us through your budget.
Somebody can log this in. I guess I can. Maybe. Oh, it worked. Oh.
Makes you feel better. I got to log in too, so no big stress over here.
Apparently I've never logged in at this particular station. I should have had Jeff log us in. Aha. This will be really easy, just like last year. All right, go away. Crying out loud.
This happens to everybody.
I know.
It's hard going first. No ball.
It is so hard to go first. I hope this works.
Mike just bangs the gavel and tells you to get to work. Hopefully, the finance department's paying our Microsoft subscription.
I think it's still under org.
What are you doing?
Oh, I didn't see Jim.
Trying to get Office logged in.
I didn't see that. Thanks for, I will grab some.
Because I had to log my own account into the computer because it wasn't logged in.
Oh, got it.
The love.
It's technology, it's hard. We were talking about that, that's why I said that.
Okay, let's rock it.
Not quite.
Let's not. Okay. First slide is just kind of actually the 2025 number there is not the mayor adopted, that was my budgeted, and I know that was higher. But the 2026 was the mayor adopted budget, and the 2027 shows our overall budget for this year, mayor adopted. So you can see it's pretty flat. It's too flat, Rich. The lion's share of my budget comes from the power purchase budget. Last year we had budgeted $31,595, and this year we've budgeted $32,389, $400. We're seeing quite a bit of upward pressure on the cost for power. Luckily our kind of operation and maintenance and all that kind of stuff, that's fairly flat, but the power costs are going up. We still have kind of a big unknown for the extended day ahead markets, EDAM. We've been operating under EDAM since May 1st, but we have yet to see a bill for what that looks like yet. So I hope it's in the same ballpark. I just don't know. Along with the power budget, we budget for natural gas because we have natural gas turbines and natural gas reciprocating engines at that new generation station up at substation 7. We dropped that a little bit to make our budget match. Hopefully that'll be okay, even though we're going to burn more natural gas. But we seem to have an overage there, so I think it'll be okay. But between the power budget and this natural gas budget, that's the lion's share. The rest is...
On most years, do you hit that budgeted amount for natural gas?
No,
or do you
we
stay
don't.
under?
It's kind of a... One year we came close when, like, right now our natural gas price is $1.30 per decatherm. And the one crazy year a couple of years ago, it went to $15 during the winter, and it ate through it really fast. So as long as we don't have any craziness like that, and we haven't hedged any gas that year. And I don't think we've hedged any at this point either.
If the natural gas budget isn't expended, does it just go to reserves and capital expenses?
Yep.
Or
In fact, well, so we had to pay Enbridge, well, we started out paying them $4 million to run the natural gas line to the new plant. Excuse me. And they came in with a change order, and we have to pay another $670,000 to, because I guess it was more expensive than they anticipated to put that line in. We're going to pay that out of this because I have enough money left in this to cover that cost. So
Did you say you expect that we'll burn more natural gas?
yeah, because we've got those 10 megawatts of generation that we didn't have before, and they're actually operating pretty regularly under EDAM. I think you guys have heard this before. We have to come to the market with enough resource to cover our load plus a small surplus. And so we use that, and then we tell the day-ahead market, hey, we'll run it if it's this much, if it's under or if it's over this price. And we've run that quite a bit in the last couple of weeks.
Do we have that price just to cover our costs, or are
Yeah,
we
we don't have to run it at a loss. We can
Okay.
dictate and say, we got to have
Are we
this
running it
straight.
at a profit right now, or no?
A little bit, like enough to cover maintenance and
Sure.
stuff like that, but other than that, we don't jack the price up. The market's such that it keeps you from gaming it that way.
Sure.
So, and then I mentioned this earlier. We did a cost of service analysis 3 or 4 years ago, and the consultant recommended that we do 2 to 3% per year. And then Tyson Godfrey, you guys are all familiar with him. He's been doing some cost of service analysis, and again, we found that the upward pressure on power costs is what's pressuring us to collect more money. So we're planning on a 3% overall revenue. I don't know if that means 3% residential, 3% to the university, 3% to industrial, you know what I mean? But overall, we're looking at a 3%. We're trying to look at the costs and see where those adjustments make the most sense.
So Mark, when will that come before us?
I will probably bring that to you the first council meeting in August
Okay.
and let you look at what those look like. So we have,
Right by truth and taxation. Sounds like a good one.
yeah. Well, I used to try and do it this time of year so that it could get passed with the budget, but
It's fine.
everybody got mad at me for making the meetings too long, so.
So you quit.
anyways.
Without getting out into the weeds too much, are you anticipating, I know at the power board last time there was that discussion about the commercial billing issue.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's completely resolved to the most part at this
Well,
point, or-
so we found that
What's the nice way to put this?
we were training, so Tyson Godfrey was gonna automate this process for the meter guys that take them all day doing spreadsheets and looking through numbers. So Tyson built a tool for them that would make it quickly, and they were explaining their process to him, and I walked in and I was standing there listening to the conversation. And as they explained how they calculated the peak demand, I was like, that's not right. That's not what the rate says. And even Tyson, who's relatively new to the power market, is like, is that right? I'm like, no, it is not right. Anyways, we have let the industrial customers know that we will correct how we bill for that. We will not give them a rate increase, but just by correcting the way we bill is essentially a 3-ish%. It depends on the customer, but it's around 3% revenue increase by just billing.
But that's been addressed at this point in the billing.
Yeah, we've spoken to all the industrial customers and kind of let them know that's coming. We've told them we'll continue to bill it the way it is through this fiscal year.
Okay.
And then July 1st billing, we're going to start
Okay.
doing it correctly. So.
Okay. Any other questions for Mark?
For them, would it be 3% plus 3%?
No, I won't jack them up 3%. Just by collecting the correct revenue from the bill, it's going to increase their costs by 3%, which increases our revenue by 3%. We just
Is that all industrial or all commercial?
it's just the industrial customers.
Okay.
So the 6 big ones, the Gosners, the university.
Sativa.
Well, actually, Tyler's one of them, but because the only time this mistake reared its head was if there were multiple meters on the system. Tyler only has one, so He's not gonna get.
He's been paying his fair share. So
Maybe I should-
we're gonna specifically raise his 3% though, right?
if only I
Because
could.
then he'll have to raise sewage raise
I know.
3%. It's like a rolling 3%.
I know.
No, we'll just correct how we collect it. It should be,
Okay.
it should be good this year. And then, of course, we'll look at it again next year. So, I mean, likely another increase next year and the year after. Well,
It's the power market right now.
it is. We've done some projections out, and it looks like we need to do that for another 5 or 6 years.
And then by that point, we'll probably need to do it for another
Well,
5 or 6 years.
I mean, it depends, right? You never know.
Yeah,
what
you never
costs we're gonna
know,
do, But from where we're sitting now, that's as far as we need to go. But
Okay.
I'm not going to say we're not getting them. So.
So Mark, if we decide, or you decide, or Mark decides, that we're going to install solar on top of the new public services building or buildings.
I tried to, but Rich said no.
Let the public record show.
We actually met on
Solar.
that today, this morning.
Right, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, how would that funding affect your budget? Because you would essentially own that.
I believe Rich is
Power
going to
generation.
talk to you about a reserve transfer.
Okay. Okay.
Do we know a rough estimate on that yet?
750 is the number.
Well, that's not
So
bad.
that's a pressure building.
That's
Oh.
not-
Oh, okay. I was like, that's not bad for a megawatt.
No, that's just.
But that's just, okay.
After
I was
that,
like,
we've got to pay for panels and wiring.
That makes more sense. I was like-
But that's just a,
It's our plan to bring that to you the next council meeting for workshop, and then June 16th.
Do we know a full all-in cost for solar there though? Or an estimate?
it was like 1.2 million to get it all done.
Prep the building,
Got the
panels,
building and pay
everything.
for equipment.
Okay.
And a lot of that
Tyson
depends on how
install
much
it
work
himself,
we do.
does that?
Well, he did a really
I'm
nice
just
analysis, and it pencils.
Yeah.
It's not a great deal, but we don't lose money on it, so
Okay.
it makes sense to probably do
Yeah.
it.
And then it'll just go into our portfolio of.
It will be part
generating
of our,
electricity.
yeah, part of our resource mix.
Okay.
So,
Generates about as much as our hydro does right now.
So that's why you wear your green shirt.
Okay.
It's not a bad addition.
If we had a
If
full.
we had hydro,
If we
yeah.
had a full river.
Maybe not this year, but.
Yeah, it'll probably be better in some ways. Any other questions?
Any other questions for Mark? Okay. Thank you, Mark.
I hesitate leaving myself logged in here. I don't want anybody looking at my files.
I would quickly log out, Mark.
I'll leave it in just because it was such a
Isn't there some, you never leave your own phone? your
Somebody
phone
log it
when
out.
You go to an office, or isn't there some?
I think Craig would beg to differ on that comment.
Where's Craig today? We need Craig here.
All right, Chief Simmons.
Let's see if I can get this in here.
I was asked by one of your officers if I was your spouse.
I very much apologize for that.
I thought I'd say that.
Moving on. Before anyone says anything
I'm
else.
so sorry for that. I feel bad.
No, I just thought I'd share.
That's
That's for after the meeting, Jeannie.
different spelling.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's it. I know.
Thank you for lunch, though. That was very nice. I'll tell them you took me to lunch. How about we do that? So,
We have to go on a date first.
thanks for this time. I just have a few slides, but I did want to start with Sergeant Ryan Blau. He's right now at McCady Hospital. He has lost his battle with brain cancer. I know a few of you knew him, and they've turned off the machines and are just waiting for him. But he's fighting right now to stay alive. But it really struck quickly. In fact, he retired last year in January, and he quickly had a heart attack, kidney stones, pneumonia, and then a cancer diagnosis within 4 months.
Oh my
And he's been fighting the cancer ever since. Thought he had it whipped here about 2 months ago. And then just within the last 2 weeks, it's now spread to the liver and to the, so he was life flighted. I went down and spent all day with him, and it's pretty tough around the PD. He was a very, very important part of our department. In fact, even though he retired, he's a part-time officer with us. So we're going to be escorting him back as soon as that as soon as he passes beyond the veil, and we'll escort him back here, and probably we tentatively designated a funeral for next Saturday at White Pines. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. So there's a lot of heavy hearts around the PD right now. I know all of us in all the city departments, we come to you and we beg and plead. I don't have enough people, I don't have enough money, and we usually just get told to shut up by Rich, but you know, he's actually very helpful.
He's our gatekeeper.
Yeah,
He says the same thing to me when
He
I
does,
talk
I
to him.
know. But he has been very, very helpful, and I wanted to thank the city for what it's done for the department, for all the departments, and keeping everything fairly balanced. So even though we come with needs, and there's 100 needs, obviously, between all of the departments, I'll just talk a little bit about kind of what we've gone through. I did send an email to everybody kind of explaining what we're going to talk about tonight. So normally we're a force of 60 officers, and I'll show you later, that's actually well below industry standards. But we actually went down to 56 personnel last July, and the reason was the county, because they were losing so many people to other agencies, they arbitrarily raised everybody's wages up 10%. We were kind of even with them, sometimes behind, a little bit above. And if they had done that, it would have killed us. I already lost 12 officers to other agencies in the last 2 years because of the higher pay. Logan, even though we're the largest city, we don't offer the most pay. Brigham City, Box Elder, that's where I've lost most of the officers. Ogden, a couple of them have gone down there. My fear is this data center, when it comes in and starts feeding the coffers of Box Elder, is only going to make it even worse for us. And so I had to make a decision, and thankfully I was supported by Rich when he saw what we were facing, that we needed to at least match that 10%. The only way we could do that is I had 4 officers leaving at that moment, 1 to retirement, Lieutenant Frankie, and then 3 to other agencies. So we took those 4 positions and vacated them and took that money and paid the other officers just to keep the experience that we had. There's no substitute for experience, especially in policing. You cannot have a force of all rookies here. And I lost some of my best officers to these other agencies. So that was the choice. Either increase wages and keep your experience, or lose, or don't increase wages and continue this exodus to higher paying agencies. The officers, and I think most young people are like that these days, they're chasing the dollar, right? Because everything's expensive, right? It's expensive to get housing, especially in Cache Valley. So it's very difficult for us. So that was our dilemma. Talked to the Mayor Daines at the time, and Rich, and they were supportive of it. They didn't like it. I don't like it. I didn't like it, the move at the time. And no, I didn't take any of that 10%. That was strictly to maintain the officers that we had. So nevertheless, the demands for service, the demands for accidents continue, increased demands for, hey, you know, I'm always getting calls, sometimes even from council members, because you hear it from constituents saying, hey, a parking issue, a homeless issue, and those things are only going to increase for us. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to go that far. So the obvious answer from a lot of people, well, great, we'll just hire new employees. Well, in policing, it's not that easy. We have to send someone to post, and there's a definite cost associated with all of that. So number one, we're deprived of that person while they're at post. And then when they come back from post, it costs $37,000 just to send them post. When they come back from post, being the police officer standard and trainings, then we have to give them around 600 hours of training. And there's a salary cost. Sorry, it's 0.46 for the benefits, not 7.6. I forgot to change that. So all in all, to get an officer off of field training, that means he's out with another officer, or she's out with another officer, completing about 33 weeks of training. It costs the city, it costs the department about $70,000. And even then, you don't have an experienced officer. You have a brand new rookie who barely knows the fundamentals of policing. And it will take years to get that experience in him that will become of great benefit to our community. The problem we've had is those 12 that we've left, we've done that, we've trained them. And once we've trained them, they depart, because now they're a lateral transfer to some other agency. They'll pay them an extra $5 to $10 an hour more. Literally, that is what the going rate is. And we're left having to spend more money training an inexperienced officer again. And so that's the retention problem I face. Yes.
So why is it that Does every police department who hires, this is only for new officers, correct?
Yes.
So I guess I don't understand, they've already gone through all their training. This is additional training?
When they go through post-training, like the academy training, that's what we're talking about, like.
So if
whether-
so they're not even a police officer when they come to us?
They come to us, and then most departments are like this. Once you come to us, now you have to be trained for an additional 30 some odd weeks just to learn how to be a policeman here in Logan and to gain the experiences, the practical experiences that they only taught academically in the academy. You see, so there's a huge difference.
I think,
sometimes.
maybe I'm wrong, but we don't pay them to go to the academy. do we?
Sometimes we do.
Is that-
Sometimes, and sometimes we have to in order to get quality candidates. If we identify somebody who has not been through the academy, we will send them to post if we're that impressed with them.
Is that-
So, but not always.
Is that common?
It is more and more common these days than it was back in the day. You didn't need to. We had so many candidates going to the academies that we could just go in there, pick and choose the ones we want, and they could pay for their own academy. Now we're forced to more and more pay for that academy because you get so very few people wanting to become police officers
So
these
do
days.
we not have an ability to say, if we pay for your entire education, that you have a 5-year commitment with us or
We
a
do that
7-year
now.
commitment?
Yeah, we do that now, and Ambry, Darley, the HR director, she's helped us implement that. So once they get 2 or 3 years, they fulfilled that commitment generally, and that's about the time they leave, is once they've filled that commitment. So you're right, yes, we do have them sign a contract. Most departments do now to recoup that cost if possible. But after 2 or 3 years, they've already kind of used up that cost.
So do you have a sense of the area police organizations, Brigham, Box Elder, Cache County, do they all do this?
Well, a lot of the higher paying agencies don't have to do this, and the reason is because they're stealing from us. And when they do that, the training for them is very little. If I lose Corporal Robert Palmer, an experienced officer here, he goes to Brigham City, they might train him for 2 or 3 weeks in the way that they do it, because he's already had vast experience over here. They might train him for a couple weeks and then he's out on his own. That saves them all the cost in the world because we've already trained them. We've been the AAA ball club for their major leagues is really what it looks like.
How many, I mean, $69,834 is a lot of money
Yeah.
that in my mind might be able to be applied to officers that have experience, so you don't have to do all this. Would that, I mean, I guess I don't understand if there's part of the budget that is dedicated to this particular
Well,
expenditure?
most of that is salary anyway that we're paying, but remember, when they're in training, we're paying them a salary to be a police officer, but they can't be a police officer until they're completely through training and field training out on the road. So they don't really count toward our numbers. They're not really police officers until they get out on their own, and we can count them as part of our shifts, as part of our force. Until then, they're just a companion to an officer that has been trained and has the experience.
So on the average year, how many people do you pay that $37,136 for?
Well, that's the new 37, oh, you're talking about the, well, it depends. So I've lost 12 officers in the last 2 years, and I think of that 12, we've picked up, and I'm just kind of guessing here, I would say about 5 or 6 of them we have sponsored through the academy and paid that because they have been really impressive candidates, and far better. You might as well. I will never hire somebody that's not going to cut it. That's going to be a bad officer or who may cause liability to the city. Others are not that picky, but we are very picky at Logan City. So whether they have actually gone through the academy, are in the academy, or have never gone, if we identify them as a very good potential prospect, then we will do this for them. We will. But it's because the sheriff's department, they can now hire people at 19 years of age to work in the jail. They've already got a 2-year jump on us. I can't hire anybody until they're 21. So they've already got their hooks into a lot of the academy classes here locally and in Weaver County. They've already got job offers out to these folks because they've already been working with them for 2 years. I don't have that ability to do that. I have to wait till they're 21. So you see why we're caught in this dilemma. We have to do everything we can to get the quality applicants. And we do, by and large, hire very, very good applicants. But sometimes we have to do this.
Chief, do you feel that when you did take those 4 salaries to increase and be more competitive with our bordering and regional police officers, that will, I guess I'm wondering if this cost where you're having to, in theory, maybe we were training more that we're getting then picked off after a few years.
Yeah.
If maybe that, if you would anticipate less of these as we're more competitive and online with, does that make
Yeah.
sense where we're doing as much training? Like if the past few years we're doing more because we're having to get them back up. Would that be accurate or no? I don't.
It is. I really believe, and of course this is for the mayor and anybody else to check. It's easy for the chief to stand up here and say, oh, our department's great and everybody loves it there. I really believe they do. I think they really like working for the city. I think they love the culture that we have, but money talks. And so that 10% did help stave off some potential departures. I'm usually the last one to hear. Nobody wants to tell the chief, hey, I'm looking at another agency, right? But I hear through the grapevine. But that 10% last year did stave off some of those departures and has gone a long way. Our starting wage right now is $32.19. That is unheard of. I started at $10 an hour, back in '97. Policing is expensive. After George Floyd, police quit. Nobody wanted to become a policeman. And look, what happened there was horrible. We all agree on that. But it stained every policeman in this nation, even though we had nothing to do with that and would never do that. So that has driven the cost for police up all across this nation. And so we're just trying to keep up. But our problem is, and I know we're doing the very best we can as a city, we obviously don't tax our citizens as much as others, and I love that. I live in Logan. I don't want to pay more taxes, right? But there's a cost to that too, as far as paying your officers and your experienced people, not just officers, firemen, linemen, all these other departments, because they're tempted, as good as it is here, to jump because there's $10,000 more to be made over here or vice versa. I sent out that email and this Corporal Robert Palmer, who I love dearly, he went over there for $49 an hour. Well above whatever I was paying him as a corporal. He went over there as an unranked officer and was making about $12 an hour more than what he was making here with us. Now, how they do it, I don't know. I don't have all those numbers. I just know I just lost one of my very, very best officers. And many of those 12 are very good officers. Otherwise, we wouldn't hire them. So has it slowed? Honestly, I'm kind of hoping police salaries kind of stabilize. I really am. It's a pain in the butt to an administrator to try to keep up with all this. And then I'm sure the mayor and Rich is tired of hearing me whine about it, but it's a constant battle with us. But we do everything we can culturally to make sure this is a great place. And I think we achieve that. But it does cost to train. Every once in a while, we will get a lateral candidate. We did take Ashley Lowe from USU PD. She wanted to come down. She liked it because we actually do a lot here. We have a lot of calls. There's a lot of experience. She did get a little bit of a raise to come here. But we get her, and she's training a month or so. We didn't have to pay for the academy. We didn't have to do it. So that's a win for us. It costs us very little to get her here and to train her, and she wants to be here. So every once in a while, we'll get a gem like that, and we're happy to have that. So, but generally speaking, yeah, we're kind of behind the times.
So Jeff, can I
Yes.
ask you one more
Sure.
question before we go on? You said that we operate with 60 officers, was that correct?
We were operating with 60 and went down to 56.
56, and you said 60 was not quite the number you needed, but what is the metric that you use?
You'll see that on an upcoming slide here. I'll show you
Okay,
exactly
thank you.
that. So good question, yeah. So you'd think that 4 officers, that's not a big deal, right? But what it has done is created zero margin scheduling. It's really tough there really is no margin for error. When we have an illness, injury, or mandatory training, we are bare bones on trying to get things done. Traffic, you saw the slide before, we handle anywhere between 1,700 to 2,000 accidents a year. We used that for those 4 bodies were part of our traffic shift to really go out there and try to keep people in line so that we're not just playing smash-up car out on Main Street all day long, right? So overtime shifts, there's a lot of overtime. That's the one thing we can offer. We have a ton of overtime in Logan City with all the events that we have, but we're also finding that we're having trouble filling those overtime shifts. We're getting all kinds of alcohol shifts from the state, hey, and we're like, we can't even fill them because what may be happening is our officers are taking so much overtime, it's increasing burnout, They get tired, they want to be home. The new generation does want to be home. They want to work, then they want to go home and be whatever they are, and I encourage that, right? But it increases burnout, safety risks, and like I say, our alcohol and some special events will go unfilled due to burnout. So again, we disbanded our traffic shift in order to do this. We will still work traffic, obviously, when we are above minimums. We have a minimum of 5 to 6 officers every shift, 24 hours a day. And you have 9 people on a shift, but between days off and sick and mandatory training and all this, if you can get 5 officers, 6 officers there in a shift, that's what you have out on the road in marked vehicles, handling all the calls that happen on a day-to-day basis. Swing shifts, man, they are busy. They're running all the time. Morning shift, they have a little more time to be proactive. Grave shift, a little more time to be proactive. But by and large, 56, we're running, all of us are running pretty hard right now. And I knew that was going to happen. It was a choice. We're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Either keep my experience or go down a few and work extra hard. So that's kind of where we're at. And it's not becoming safer in Logan. You saw what happened over the weekend. We had a massive police response because, this person unloaded 17 rounds at a car. That doesn't happen in Logan, but more and more we're going to start seeing those things. We've seen that in the last 2 years. What happened out in Hiram a year ago, what happened in our park 2 years ago as well. So there's some. It's not a safer world that we live in. So. And then to Jeannie's question here. So 54,000 roughly is what we have in Logan proper as far as population. Obviously much more with university students and everybody coming in to shop and whatnot. We have 56 officers right now, and that gives us a ratio of 1.03 per 1,000. And you can kind of see some of the other cities. Bountiful's right there with us, Taylorsville. But then you see Murray, Idaho Falls, Pocatello, all cities roughly in the same ballpark at us, but then you see the number of officers that they have, and we're training everybody. We're probably the lowest per ratio 1,000 in the entire state. The Utah average of all police departments is 1.6 per 1,000. The national average is 2.4. We currently sit at 1.03. So it's significantly below the Utah state standard. Now, we live in a very wonderful place up here. It's a very safe place, right? People generally cooperate with us and do a great job. But as the population grows, as potentially we get a homeless shelter, and as the world becomes more unstable and unsafe, more officers are going to be needed. If we were to extrapolate 1.6 for our population, we'd be looking at 85 officers, and that is a huge, huge expense. It's massive. So that's where we're at. So all I'm trying to do is kind of reclaim just what we lost in order to stop the bleeding, basically. But we're still far below, and that's a talk for a different day. But that's what we're looking at in the coming years. Yes.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I do have a question. If you could go back one slide.
Back one.
Do you have any numbers, any data onto like the incident to numbers of officers ratio? Call volume to. Just wondering if there's a.
I think I do, but I didn't bring it with me, and I don't have it. Obviously, my brain doesn't work so well these days, so I don't have it memorized. But their call volume, I would say, is at least. Well, probably not Bountiful, but I would suggest that Taylorsville, Murray, Idaho Falls, and Pocatello, they have probably a higher call volume than us, yes. Yeah. So. But they also have more officers to deal with it and slightly larger populations other than maybe Murray, so.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Looking at Utah State being in Logan City, how many officers do they have?
Right now,
on
they have
staff
boosted
there?
their numbers from.
Are they
it was
20
around-
something?
They're 25 now.
25.
They used to be about half of that.
Yeah.
Because they joined the Pac-12, my understanding is, according to what they've told me, they've had to increase their numbers to meet that is it 12 or 10? I can't remember.
Pac-12.
Pac-12, to meet that.
Yeah, that conversation
Which is
this
9,
morning.
which is
That's
9, but
standard, yeah.
eventually. we-
9, but
Yeah.
The Pac-12
So that
breaking-wise.
54,000 that shows here, that doesn't include Utah State. That's just regular Logan citizens around.
Right, and that population.
That population count
reflected.
Yeah.
And the
Utah State
numbers.
students.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Utah
our-
State, they have what, 23,
50
24,000
but the
students?
50
But 54,000 does include Utah State
That
students.
includes Utah State.
I don't think it does.
Don't think
I think
It
we're
includes
higher.
a lot of them, because a lot of them
does.
live here year-round.
Yeah. There may be some
I don't know.
spillover, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
But that's 26,000.
How much mutual aid do we have? I mean, I know a lot of times in use of force videos, we see USU officers responding to our calls. How much do we respond to them? How much do they respond to us?
We're too busy
Okay.
to really respond up there unless there was an emergency. We
Are
would.
they helping out
But
fairly
they come
regularly?
down because, quite frankly, they're bored.
They don't have anything to do.
So they come down to help, but they don't have any.
Not to say they don't have
Not
anything.
to say all of them, but a lot of those officers are brand new. They don't have any experience. So they come down just to learn and see what it's like to take a domestic, to take a fight, to take an accident, that sort of thing. So, and I invite them, like, yeah, come on down, get all the training you need. But that's kind of what we're facing.
So does the addition of those 25 officers help to offset that ratio a little bit?
Well,
Because they can do calls anywhere as well, or no?
right, but their jurisdiction isn't Logan City. So they're not going to jump in on a call unless they're invited to by us, unless we're so busy. And we've done this before. We're so busy right now. We can't, like Saturday's event with the shooting, UHP, everybody was coming in to help us take calls in Logan City because we were out there. So only in special circumstances does that maybe apply. We will help each other, no doubt about it. But again, they have their own population to deal with. We have our population to deal with. And yes, they mix, there's no doubt about it. But generally speaking, that's where we're at.
What about events? Do you guys mix a lot with events, or do they handle theirs and you handle?
Yeah,
Logan
for the most
City?
part, that is the case. But they do ask us, like all the football games, they ask us to come up there and work football games. We charge them. We charge most any entity that wants our services, we'll charge them for that. But if it was an emergency, we wouldn't charge them. We just go and help. So.
We were just discussing up here, I think it'd be useful to look at those numbers a little bit. So I think around 3,000 to 4,000 students live on campus at Utah State. So the remaining, is it 18 or 21,000?
Something like that,
18-ish,
20,000, just 20,000,
Well, let's say
whatever.
20,000, so 16,000. There's another 3,000 that live in the county who are commuting there. They may or may not be in Logan.
Right.
So even conservatively, let's say you've got 15, 13,000 that are Logan, being serviced by Logan, that may be included in that number, may not be included in that number, and that's kind of an interesting thing too. And I think too, maybe with Utah State University, it's something for us to, I don't know, just be thinking about as we discuss partnerships and opportunities for, and if there are, right? And as you say, when it comes to how many students they are
Responsible for
and therefore hiring police force for, and how many are
Helping share the
actually
load.
in Logan City,
Yeah.
While I've got the floor, one question, my guess is, and I obviously won't hold you to this or any of us to this because we don't know what budget situation would look like a year from now. But given you had these 4 positions that you used the funding for to provide the increases, and this year the request is for 1 position to try to slowly backfill those.
2.
Oh, 2 positions, I'm sorry. 2 positions. is the idea in coming budget years is to continue backfilling those?
Before you answer that, can I circle Rich? It says one.
It says
So it's
one.
one funded by property tax, there's another one funded by the department budget.
Yeah.
Oh,
Got it.
didn't realize that.
Thank you for the
Okay, thank you for the
clarification.
clarification. I'm like, wait, I was under the impression it was one. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was saying, yeah, the one that we're asking for. The
Yes.
other one is department funded, so we are going to do that to
Got
bring
it.
one back. But sorry, your question was?
Well, so we'd have two back at the 4, just to get us back where
Yeah.
we were. And is the hope to look at,
Doing this again
upcoming
next year.
budget cycles and slowly
So-
backfilling?
Yeah, so I mean, in a perfect world where we had all the money in the world, yeah, that'd be great. But I'm a realist. I know in my time here, if we can get back to the 60, that would certainly be helpful. And as we grow, we're going to have to grow not only our department but other departments as needs come along. And we'll see that in the coming years. But I do think it's imperative that we do get back at least to the 60 and then grow from there. I started at Sierra 56 back in 1997. So in those decades since, we've grown 4 positions, Now we've taken right back to 56. But I did that out of necessity. So yeah, that's the hope. Let's get back to 60. We're not trying to be really demanding on this. We understand that there's budget constraints. We're just kind of understanding that for the future, yeah, there might be some growth that has to happen because it's not a safer world. I would never guess that we'd see that kind of incident in Logan on Saturday, but there you have it. So that's that, and then that's the end of the slide. Do you have any other questions for me? I'm happy to try to answer. So.
I just wanted to mention the numbers on that slide where you're quoting the benefits. Did you say those numbers were wrong?
What's that too?
The first slide.
Your budgetary slide on
Yeah.
sending them to post.
You said it was .46.
benefits.
Yeah, it's
or-
.46. Isn't that right, Rich? Isn't it about 4?
But
So
is that
bring the number
dollar
down
amount the
2,000.
same, or is it?
Yeah, no, the dollar amount I fixed. I just didn't fix the 7.6. The
okay.
dollar amount is exactly the same. I should have, but I was in a hurry, and then I was thinking of Jeannie's Pizza down here, and I had to go. So
No,
Don't tell
let
your officers
lemons
you're having
just-
pizza with Jeannie. 'Cause
that's right. No, it was good.
They'll get more confused.
And I appreciate
I don't want
that.
to confuse police officers.
So, but this community is great to us. We're very happy. This is a shot, obviously, of bringing Eric Estrada's body back last August. And I was stunned at how many people stood and really paid homage to that, to the officer who'd fallen to that. So I couldn't work in a better community. I wouldn't want to work in another community, and I mean that. And I think that's why officers do stay, even when budgetarily it would make sense to go elsewhere. This is a great community, and it's a great city to work for. It's always treated me very well. So.
Any other questions for Chief before we?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Chief.
For all you do.
Appreciate you letting us ask a bunch of questions. And
it. The
discussion.
Of course.
we'll move on to Tyler Richards with the Environmental Department. While he's getting ready, I'll tell you my fact I learned out at the wastewater treatment facility when I went out on. Sam's smiling already. When did we go out? Wednesday? Last week? Thursday last week? We went for water board. Does anyone know how long it takes wastewater to go from the start of the wastewater treatment facility to the end? I was surprised. 9 hours.
9 hours.
So if you have Taco Bell, use the toilet, get up in the morning, run to the wastewater, you can have it again for breakfast. That's my. Anyway, you look like you're ready, Tyler, so I'll let you take over
We don't
now.
sort it out though. We won't have your name back on it, but we can give you
I'll leave
Taco
that
Bell
one out.
back.
We're not gonna put that in the minutes. Just
Yeah.
Let that fix our record
It's not
show.
needed.
You can recycle your Taco Bell, Logan City.
That's gross.
That is gross.
I'm sorry.
Good evening. First
I thought I
off,
was out of turn.
It
first
was an
off,
interesting tour.
we will go. Mike Johnson took some great pictures for us, so you get new pictures with this presentation this year. So
I uploaded some more for you yesterday, too.
yeah, all the photos are courtesy of Mike Johnson. So you have that. Okay, so we got 2 funds to go over right the 520 fund for wastewater treatment and the 570 fund for solid waste collection and disposal. So we'll jump right into the 520. Here's just kind of a graph depicting previous year's budget, expense, and revenue, the year-to-date revenue versus expense, and the proposed. Rich always gives you these a little early. The year-to-date revenue is actually closer to 4.6 million now, so close to what the budgeted expense with our capital improvements are.
14.6, I'm assuming.
One reason for that difference is going to be between the actual in 2025 and 2027 is going to be impact fee.
Impact fee.
We don't budget for those unless we have a specific project for it.
And so our impact fees for last year were about 623,000. Year to date, we're about 734 for this year.
And then from the entities who participate, another 1.4.
That I just took the total. So that's total. That's Logan City's. Then all the other entities that pay impact fees as well. So fund expense for the 520 fund, you can see the biggest expense by far is our debt service. 5.2 million annually is our debt service for the wastewater treatment plant.
Can you explain what that is? Sorry, I don't know what it does.
So when we built the plant, we borrowed $100 million between 3 different bonds.
Okay.
And so our annual bond payments is 5.2 million. At the start of fiscal year 26, we owed $77 million. So we will make one bond payment or the combination of totaling 5.2. So we'll be
Do
down.
we just pay it once a year?
That'd be a question for Rich. We pay our bonds just once annually. Yeah. And so from the start of the year, 77 million, we'd have gone down $5 million. So at the end of this fiscal year, we're at about $72 million.
Oh, and Melissa, they're at very, very low interest rates.
They are.
Okay,
Like,
that feels like that's
under-
gonna take a long time.
Under 1%
To pay off.
So
I think one's,
the one was 3/4. The largest one was 3/4%.
Yeah,
one of
and I
them's
think
at 0.
One was,
Okay.
we didn't get a 0.
I thought we did.
It's like 0.75.
I think it's 0.75, and I think the second one we had to go back for is 1.5.
Yeah, I believe so. But that's still incredibly low.
So that's looking like another 14 years to pay it off, roughly.
One more time?
Another 14 years or so to pay off the rest of that bond.
More.
So this is a 30-year term.
30-year bond.
Okay.
I'd have to look at it.
It was 30 years, but I can't remember if we started in 2020 or 2018 when we started construction,
It's
so
been a little while.
Okay.
So maybe another 20
20 years.
years.
24, maybe.
A lot of Taco Bell will go through in that time.
Yeah. So as you can see, the other big sections of the budget are chemicals and supplies, utilities. Those are kind of fixed costs. Light and power is a big portion of that, and natural gas for the plant, as well as just the chemical supplies, the polymer, and the different alum, chlorine that we have to have on hand if needed for treatment. Some of the changes that we made this year, so we did reorganize the 520 fund. Our pre-treatment division was previously housed in the 570 fund for under solid waste, but their activities all pertain to wastewater treatment. So we moved the 52110 pre-treatment fund into the 520 umbrella. Then we also segregated out the operation and maintenance costs for the treatment plant under that 52105 treatment fund. And then we'll have the 52100 fund for administrative costs, just so we can easily and better track the cost of the wastewater treatment plant. We did request a new superintendent position at the wastewater treatment plant. We currently have 6 operators, and one of them's a lead operator. And what that's led to is we have a crew of 3 and then a crew of 2 with one guy trying to supervise, but it leaves his crew down a person, and when we have stuff go wrong on the days he's not there, if he's part of that shift, he's not there to talk to vendors, order parts, purchase or get the POs for their equipment and the repairs. So it'd be easier if we had one supervisor that is there most days, so 5 days a week, than have the 2 crews and 3 operators. So that was the request there. We are currently underway with our biomag expansion project. The bid came in at about $6.9 million. We have got 2 grants that funded the bulk of that. So we got 1 grant for $5 million, 1 for $1.75 million. Those are an 80-20 split with the EPA. So our portion is $1.35 million to match the 80% that they pay. And so we are looking to add some additional mixing to our current biomag expansion project, which will let us use all of the EPA funds for less of our own money. Because currently we're paying the difference from $5 million to 6.9, so $1.9 million. But by utilizing the 1.75 million and the rest of our match, we can lower that to about 1.35 million of our funds that go towards this project.
Great.
That's scheduled for completion here in next April, and that'll expand our solids handling capacity.
When are you breaking ground on it, do you think?
So we've officially kind of broken ground, the contract signed. We're kind of in this forever waiting loop for them to get equipment on site. So the first estimate was the VFDs and the MCCs for the electrical controls was 10 weeks out. Now they're telling us it's December. And since it's an upgrade, you really can't do a lot of the work because it's got to be a plant shutdown, short duration, switch out the equipment, and back up and running within like a day. And so we're kind of waiting for better scheduling and better information from the contractor.
But you think April's still with those delays? That's a
Hopefully, yeah. We're looking to change instead of having Rockwell as the manufacturer of the MCCs, we're looking to have the electrician pull that back in-house, buy a generic one, do the modifications that were required by the project and the specifications in-house instead of at the manufacturing. And hopefully, I haven't heard back, but hopefully that'll get us back on track to like a 10-week delivery.
okay.
So our current reserve at the end of fiscal year was about $29 million. Rich and the council operating target was about $6.2 million for reserve levels. Just a look ahead. So on that top chart there, that is the expected upgrades or needs for the wastewater treatment plant in the years that are out. So currently, Bioreactor 4, biomag expansion is underway and paid for by EPA grant money. Bioreactor 4 would be the next expansion of the plant that would be needed. And the current estimate, it goes up every year as costs go up, is $38 million. So that would take our plant capacity from 18 million gallons a day to 24 million gallons a day. If you look in that bottom table, peak flows, that the Hanson Allen Luce put together for estimated peak flows for our plant. Within 10 years, the 2034 mark, we're at 33 MGD on a peak. That'd be like a snow on rain event. That'd be a storm event. But our flows have gone up significantly. So we typically, in the summertime, hit our plant capacity of 18 MGD. So that's why we'd be looking to begin, hopefully bid this project, the Bioreactor 4, in 2028. It'll be a discussion we need to make of, at our current rate of reserve accumulation revenue, we should have enough money at the end of fiscal year 28 to do that. But it's a 3-year project, so is there the opportunity that we can go to bid like in 2027 or the beginning of 2028 during fiscal year 27 with both not all the reserves accumulated, but 90%. And so as we get closer, maybe next year, we'll be having that discussion with the guy to council and see how comfortable we feel. And it's a hard one to say, because until we get bids, we don't know where that number's actually gonna land.
Right.
And so we could say it's a good idea, and if the bids come in high, we could say, ooh, we're still 2 years out, so that's the hard part there. But it's coming. There's a lot of growth in the valley, and we take up the majority of it at the wastewater treatment plant. Any questions on wastewater? I think we're going to switch gears to 570. Any questions on wastewater treatment before we switch gears?
So we do service pretty much the entire north end of the valley, Smithfield.
So
to
we
Logan,
go from
and then
Smithfield to Nibley.
Nibley,
So
yeah.
Smithfield, Hyde Park, North Logan, universities in there.
Yeah.
Then River Heights, Providence, and Nibley.
But they don't help fund like a build out like that at all. That's just completely us, because
They
they're basically
pay,
a customer.
they
do
pay
with
a
rates.
monthly sewer fee.
Yeah, they pay.
And they pay
Yeah,
impact
page
fees
90
that go
if you
towards
want
it as well.
Okay.
So anytime that we do a rate increase for the sewer treatment, it affects those other cities as well.
The best part is we collect all that water and it goes right back in our ecosystem when we're done.
9 hours later.
From all those other communities, 9 hours later.
9 hours later.
I'm just surprised at how fast that was. Like, I was really like, I don't know, it's impressive.
And the other cool fact, from the old lagoon system, it was 90 days
Yeah.
to go through our treatment
Way
process.
faster.
And it all evaporated the water out.
90 days to 9 hours.
Yep, with the different treatment.
You're there. There's
And
your marketing.
that's
sold.
for releasing of clean water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so 570, just some little stats here. So we service about 21,000 residential customers between single family and multifamily homes.
Residents.
We're about 3,700 curbside green waste cans out. Commercial accounts, about 3,200 commercial accounts, so that'd be dumpsters and roll-offs. In this past year, we did about 113,000 landfill transactions. At the Logan landfill, we deposited 89,000 tons of C&D waste. North Valley, we took 86,000 tons of C&D, or municipal solid waste, so your regular garbage waste. So at North Valley, we average around 300 to 350 tons a day, 5 days a week. The Logan landfill, it's a little more variable because it's C&D, so a demolition project will peak a day at like 500, 600, 700 tons, but it's typically around 200, 250 tons a day.
So do you have an estimated closing time for that, where you're filled up with C&D?
The Logan landfill, about 2 years. And so that's part of this discussion here at the end. So that 89,000 tons, here in 2 years, we're gonna have to put wheels under it and take it to North Valley. And that pretty much doubles the operation of our transfer.
Yep.
So it's
Can
gonna
you
be a
take-
big ask for employees and equipment.
Can you take C&D waste and put it in the transfer station and load it in the trucks in the same way that you would typical municipal solids?
As our transfer station set up, no. C&D waste is pretty bulky.
Right. It was,
And so, the trailers that we use for MSW, without first processing or grinding that waste, it would not come out of the trailers.
so are we going to be looking at a change to it, or will you be processing it outside of the typical building, or what?
So we were looking to build a separate C&D
Okay.
transfer station. It'll probably be like an open air transfer station right next in our bin yard to do that.
Okay.
Here's a little look at our revenue. You can see that it's split pretty evenly between collections, so commercial waste, or commercial solid waste, residential solid waste. Then on the right-hand side of the graph, that's mostly your landfill and your billed revenue at the landfill. So it's about 50-50 where the revenue is generated.
So since we've had the split, how has the amount of refuse coming to the transfer station increased or stayed
It
within?
increase through growth.
Okay,
So all of the Cash Waste Consortium, so the county and its haulers, Smithfield and its hauler, and the cities further to the north, Richmond and Lewiston, all have hired separate haulers, but all those haulers come to the transfer station, and we still take all the waste and deliver it to North Valley.
okay.
So it's just been through growth that waste has increased, but all of the waste is still disposed of at the landfill.
Okay.
There's just a breakdown of our fund expenses generally. So administration, most of that is in rolling stock. We try to replace 2 to 3 trucks a year is in garbage trucks and 1 to 2 pieces of landfill equipment. So the rolling stock budget's about 2 million of that. And then wages and other things, the rest, but most of that is in rolling stock. So here's kind of a little look ahead of where we sit reserve-wise and where we need to be. Currently for the reserves, for the landfill, the 570 fund, we're about 2.8 million. We have to keep a mandatory landfill closure reserve. That was for the end of fiscal year 25, 5.2 million. So that gives us a total of about $33 million in reserve. What has been previously allocated for capital improvements is funding for the solid waste, the compost pad we're doing adjacent to the wastewater treatment plant, and a C&D transfer station. So of that 10 million, about 6.3 is remaining that will get carried forward for the next year for the C&D transfer station. Rich wants to keep a minimum operating reserve. I don't know why. About 4.7.
Crazy idea.
So our total unallocated reserves currently is 18 million. And my best guess for future projects, so equipment for a C&D transfer station, would be probably looking at $3 million on the low end. That's just loader, excavator, potentially a grinder, and then tractor trailers and semis. The last 3 phases of the Logan City landfill closure, that'll be about 5.2 million. That's already segregated out. In order to close the solid waste, green waste facility that's on 200 South, adjacent to the landfill, and move that all down to wastewater compost, we will need to pave an additional probably 10 acres of space at the wastewater treatment facility. What we've done so far with the Swiffer grant that we got and what we're under construction now, we have enough room and space to compost all the biosolids, but not enough room to move all the grinding and receiving operations and cells operations down there. And so to move, and that's kind of a question for the council, the regional park that's slated for that area with the landfill closure, depending on how fast you want to see that come to fruition, is how fast we need to move on this. But it does, the sooner we do it in the midst of, because that can kind of wait a little bit. If we run out of room at North Valley, a liner doesn't wait, and the Logan landfill, we are going to run out of room there, and that's not going to wait. So those two kind of take precedence. But so in the next about 5 years, we'd be looking at pretty much using all our reserves. So not this year, but the following budget year, we'll probably be looking at 6 to 7 employees for that C&D transfer. And we probably should relook at rates at that time. There is a C&D or a landfill tipping fee. It does go for C&D and MSW that goes into effect this July, that was voted on 2 years ago. The tonnage goes from $38 a ton to $40 a ton. But when we take on the extra cost and the operation cost of transferring the C&D waste to North Valley, we'll have to relook at that.
Yeah. You have to build a whole new building for it.
What's the distance between those two facilities?
The C&D, So C&D is construction and demolition waste.
I think she's asking between our transfer station and the North Valley
Yeah, sorry.
landfill.
So the North Valley landfill is a landfill that's north of Clarkson that we own and operate.
40 miles?
How far?
So just 5 miles north of Clarkson. It's 25 miles from our transfer station.
25.
And so the transfer station, you just accept the public's waste, public drop off there, can drop their stuff off, it saves them the trip out there. We load it on one large truck and take it out there.
But right at this moment, there is no drop-off at North Valley.
There is no-
other than
No,
your trucks.
just our trucks.
So there's no like public.
There's no
access.
public acceptance of waste out there, so it is just our trucks that go out there.
Was it created that way so there'd be less traffic going out there?
Correct. So there's a conditional use permit that was set up when that landfill was approved, the limited truck traffic just to semi-transfer trailers.
It just seems crazy that trucks from Richmond and Smithfield are coming.
So currently, every truck, yes,
Check 'em back out there.
even the waste that's collected in Clarkson in itself, or Newton, Cornish, Lewiston, that all gets trucked down to the Logan transfer station, and we take it back.
And
Seems like it's
wasn't
reducing
that
traffic.
what you brought up as a
I think-
request to review that conditional use
So-
permit so that we could?
Yes, we're gonna go to the county with that request to remove that condition in the permit so that we could have more flexibility in operations of the landfill. But the mass of the waste, or the bulk of the waste, is generated from Logan, just maybe Smithfield and Nibley. So even if that does get opened up or relaxed somewhat, it would not preclude us, or we wouldn't avoid the cost of having to transfer C&D waste.
Sure.
That's the crux of it, I mean. So I think that was all of my slides. I will say the one area I'm concerned with this year's budget, we did budget for, hoping for about that 350 a gallon diesel. When we put this budget together, diesel is about $2.70, $3 a gallon, and we anticipated maybe going to like 350, 375 this year.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
That was way off. So my annual budget for the solid waste collections and landfill, everything runs on diesel down there, is over $1 million in budgeted. So hopefully it does come back down, but that is my one concern this year, that we might have shorted the fuel expense, but hopefully it does not.
Hopefully. Any other questions for Tyler before we let him go?
Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you for everything you do, Tyler. And letting me make jokes about food.
He's like, he's good at this. He's got all these balls bouncing at the same time.
You just know it all stinks, it's already hitting, right?
And Paul has to bring emotional support for his budget hearing. Is that what Sam's here for? I can't.
We're ready for the salmon.
No comment.
I'm not going to dispute it.
Just give me a second. I want to look at Mark's files really quick.
He's not here anymore.
I know.
Exactly. Should we send some emails to his employees?
Good evening. Thanks for letting us come. I was thinking about it. There's obviously kind of a low-hanging fruit here about saving the best department for last, so I appreciate that.
Always. We'll make you wait through every meeting just for that.
Oh, geez.
It's worth making the joke every year. But no, it is, as much as I somewhat dread budget season and going through the process and all that, it is great to step back from the day-to-day and take a 30,000-foot view at what Public Works and the whole city does and what it takes to do that. And so I appreciate the opportunity. As we go through tonight, we'll kind of, in the beginning, I'll kind of focus on the department operations and overview of Public Works. We've got 2 new council members who haven't been through the budget process, so some of this will be repeat for that, but the majority of our Public Works budget does focus on capital projects. And so Sam will highlight that at the end. as our capital program manager. But that's the goal with that. Public Works, as you can see in front of you, has 7 formal divisions within it, 8 including administration. You can see who they are, specifically the names of the divisions, not the people in the picture. But
Name people, facilities.
just a few, I guess, facts or what Public Works does. We have 5 of those divisions provide support services to the entire city. That's specifically engineering, GIS, facilities, the fleet, and emergency management. They're actually a support service not just for Public Works, but the entire city at large. We have 87 full-time employees within Public Works, spread amongst all those divisions, the largest one being water, smallest one being emergency management. Roughly throughout the course of the year, we fluctuate between 15 to 30, 35 part-time employees, including all our custodians, interns, seasonal traffic control, those sort of things make up most of our part-time employees. A few facts I find interesting, and I assume everybody does as well. We have 170 miles of sewer line that we maintain, 210 miles of water line. Those are both 10 to 11,000 connection points from the system to private properties or connections. There's 74 miles of storm drain pipe, and the little catch basins in the curb and gutter that take that water. There's over 5,000 of those throughout the city. We have 160 miles of roadway. If you break that into lane miles, so each lane, it's 320-ish lane miles that are maintained. 5,015 signs. Over 600 vehicles going through the fleet and shops for maintenance and just management of procurement, research, when do we replace and when do we not, that kind of thing. Engineering, they do the vast majority of our capital project management. And depending on the year, it can be on the low end, $8 to $12 million of capital projects. And on the high end, like a year that we're building a water line and a water tank, upwards of $30 to $50 million. And they manage those projects. Facilities, clean 64 toilets every day and wipe down 494 light switches.
Every single day.
Every single day. GIS manages citywide a GIS system with literally millions of data points that they're
including light switches.
Making sure are including light switches. We actually have every building broken down to light fixtures, switches, and then get on to do a work order specific to that through our work orders. It's more detailed than it needs to be, but it helps in that process. That's our department. Just some budget notes to look at specifically from going forward. Generally, our fiscal year 27 budget remains generally unchanged. A few small exceptions. Mayor's proposed budget is a little different than it was last year. Small increase to active transportation in the capital budget. And then lots of little, if you went line item by line item or asked ChatGPT to do it for you, you'll see a lot of little changes balancing. We went over and under on fuel or otherwise. You see a lot of those throughout the budget just as cost change for materials and those sort of things. I mentioned that because I did it, and there's a lot of little ones. Sam will kind of specifically mention this, but our Class C funds, we're looking to do a kind of a reprioritization with a little portion of those funds going from capital more towards kind of a stepped up maintenance or a little more prioritized maintenance of the roads with those funds. On our rolling stock equipment that rolls, vehicles, those sort of things, just point out a few throughout the department. A new roller for asphalt, those kinds of road street maintenance projects. A new bed, stainless steel bed and plow on one of our existing trucks rather than replacing the entire truck. We felt the mechanical portion and body of the truck's in great shape, so it was slated for replacement of the whole truck. And we said, let's just do the bed and plow and put that money to other things rather than replacing the truck just because it was time to. a new forklift, a pool vehicle, not swimming pool, but a shared vehicle that departments can check out if they need to travel and don't have a vehicle. A facilities service truck, a new floor scrubber, and a crane truck used specifically for water projects, has a big flatbed on it for pipes, those sort of things. Just general speaking, ongoing or upcoming items that we always talk about regularly or I'll be bringing to you in the coming months, a potential transportation utility fee. Chief Sims did a great job of talking about employee compensation and employee retainment, those sort of things. We always talk about future positions. We don't anticipate any right now, but it's always something come budget season we consider. And then a couple I didn't put on there, but would be rate studies, water, sewer, stormwater specifically, and potential changes or increases to those. And as Tyler mentioned, fuel all of a sudden became forefront on our mind when you drive a lot of vehicles. So I hope, because we actually, I think, formed and proposed these budgets at the department level prior to a 30 to 40% increase in fuel costs. So
Those
we've done a good job in previously, and I think we'll do a good job in the future with that. That's department generally speaking. Sam will now go into each specific fund and the capital project we anticipate for funding in fiscal year 27.
Yeah, so our capital program is divided between a couple funds. So we have in the 100 fund, we have the general fund towards capital. There's a streets fund towards capital. So you'll see those in the 100, 145 numbers. The 300 fund has also has some of our capital. And then the 510 fund, the water and wastewater collection, has capital funds in it. And the 580 fund, our stormwater fund. So our capital expenditures are across all of those funds. So I'm not going to talk necessarily budget line items, but I'm just going to talk what we do with those funds. So first off, a little update on maybe where some projects are that you're seeing around town, or maybe ones you have questions. There's always a little bit of a gap in our reporting on projects. We ask for money for a couple years, and then we go quiet on a project as we're designing it, getting it ready. You might not hear about it, and then we go build it. So some of these projects you've funded in the past, and you probably haven't heard of them for a while. So we just, I guess, give you an update on some of what you're seeing around town and what's upcoming. 1250 North, 200 East, behind Home Depot and the mall site, the Target now. We just turned on a traffic signal last Friday there. So I hope you're enjoying that.
Very, very nice.
Good.
You did a really nice job.
I had the experience.
Good.
Over the weekend.
When a traffic light is an experience, you guys have done well.
I was like, okay.
Kudos.
I've started
And to make you more excited, it's actually not quite fully operational yet, but will be soon. So
Yeah, it's not
as smart as it will be.
It's not a smart signal yet. It will be. Give us a couple weeks. 1100 North, we did a water line upgrade up by the hospital on 400 East, 1100 North. That was last fall and finished up this spring, so those recently were completed. Under construction, the photo there is the Main Street underpass that has been causing less frustration than we thought on Main Street, but still a lot of frustration. Traffic is now back open mostly. We'll have one or two more little shorter closures, but we're anticipating that being done this summer, so that'll be exciting to walk under Main Street.
We don't get to see it often, so I want to. Main Street was reopened to 4 lanes almost 2 weeks ahead of schedule.
I know, I was gonna call that, I saw that, ahead of schedule.
I'm probably gonna say that every time I see you from now on.
Just remember.
We don't get to.
Yeah, we're really excited about that project. That one's a long time. I think I started on that as an intern, so it's a long time coming. You're very aware of our water tank project up at the ropes course on USU. That is progressing. We've still got probably 18 months left of heavy construction on that. And our water transmission line connecting that tank is slated to be completed this year, 2026 calendar year. The surface improvements on Canyon Road will not be done this year. They've still got more time, but the water line itself will be done.
So will Canyon Road, I'm assuming you're not patching the road before you redo the surface, so will it just be like dirt, mud thing through the winter.
Darren and his staff have been doing a great job making a plan for that, and they're actively working on it.
It's a bit of a mess right now.
Yeah.
Can I,
Which is understandable. I'm just curious what residents can
This is a
expect for the winter.
diversion from what we're talking about, sort of, what made it change from you could get to Rudy's from the canyon to you could get to Rudy's from
Sam might have
60s?
got a call about this. That just wasn't from me. I was confused.
It's changed multiple times, just depending on where the crew is and what they're working on.
Okay,
And truly, we probably base that decision on safety versus convenience.
oh, I know, but it was just.
Did you go the wrong way this morning?
Yes,
Did you go the wrong way this morning?
Not this morning, because I knew, because I've done it. And
I have to
I-
go the right way.
I went the wrong way.
And it's been, yeah, but it does change. And it's been,
I figured maybe they were doing part of the part that goes under the river, or it worked services, that one spur piece that we have.
so there's 3 crews that work on that water line in different aspects of it. We
Okay.
have them down here by City Hall on 2nd West. We have one on 3rd North going east. There's different areas. Canyon Road has had 1 to 2 crews on it. We're doing utility relocations and then water line installation.
Okay,
And there's also a crew up on Quail Way. It's all the big, same project, but different
Right.
parts of the water line. Sorry, long story short, they move regularly. They finished up by Herms Inn with a portion of the water line.
okay,
And then they jumped back down to Crockett Avenue or near Crockett Avenue, do a whole bunch of valve relocation so that we could prepare for a second crew to start working down there. And now they've gone back up to go from Herms Inn to the water, or to the Smash Lab,
okay,
USU Smash Lab, to finish that portion.
okay,
That's the reason it changed recently.
okay,
All of this with the ultimate goal that we can get one-way traffic eastbound on Canyon Road for an extended period of time and not do these switches ongoing. And then to your question, the plan for, I don't want to call it long-term, but winter and all that, it does change a little bit. But yes, our hope and goal is that there won't be gravel and patches for the winter time.
Yeah.
We just don't know exactly where that'll be. We hope it's the eastbound condition, and then we can do some temporary patching and that kind of thing.
Okay.
But right now, if we were doing temporary patching every time we do
Sure.
it,
No, and I definitely don't expect you
we'd
to
be
now.
tearing
I
it
just didn't know.
up 3 weeks later and then doing it again. And
Sure.
so it's a balancing act of
I just figured if the
money
water line is
cost
going to be done
versus
this year, but the road's not going to be done
inconvenience.
until next year, what are we doing in the interim while?
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to Canyon Road.
If you have any
I
questions
washed my
on
car
bill
yesterday and then I
details,
drove
Karen,
this morning.
My
Just wet it all
truck
over.
is filthy
Are you
every day.
alerting public when that changes? Because it's changing so frequently right now, and you probably not, but.
to the best of our ability, yes. We have a email group that they're sending out a weekly update
Oh.
for anticipated to anybody that's signed up for that email group through the Lincoln group. When early in the project, we were doing even door hangers and that sort of thing for access interruptions, especially if your driveway is going to be inaccessible. We have to alert, and we've been doing that with door hangers. Right now, it's mostly the weekly email. And then big picture, we do keep an update on our website, but that's much more big picture versus weekly changes
Yeah.
going through that. And we just recently started inviting George, our new public relations person, to not every construction update meetings to get a lot of details, but the bigger ones, and he can help either get the message out or help our team with, hey, here's some ideas on messaging and how to do that.
So the person that you hired that manages the traffic for the construction projects, I don't remember his name. Maybe he only works for the big,
Big T.
no, for Google. I don't know if he's just managing the traffic for the Google project.
So you're talking our part-time inspector that was overseeing the Google work? Okay.
Yeah, he does a really good job.
Bruce.
Yeah, he does a really good job.
He does. As a matter of fact, today, he started full-time in our engineering division as a full-time employee. We had a civil engineer leave to go to North Salt Lake. And Bruce interviewed and we selected him. He's awesome.
Yeah, he
So he's now
does.
full-time on our staff
Cool.
as a staff
But
engineer.
I've been very impressed by the fact that there've been there's a lot of signs, there's a lot of cones, there's a lot of traffic management around the construction, and I think it's done very well, so.
So what that really means now is nobody's managing Google.
Paul?
We are transitioning to someone, but George, or Bruce is still helping with that, yeah. He has been- It's been great having him. If you recall, that was one of the discussions we had about permit fees and
Right.
help fund that. And
Yeah,
So it was very
But
beneficial.
just tell him that at least I think he's doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
As far as upcoming projects, we've talked a lot about the Public Works campus that will be starting this summer. 1000 North, 600 West intersection, that's a project that you have helped us fund over the last couple of years. It hasn't started yet, we're waiting on a railroad permit, but that is slated to begin next year. And
Are we
then
done with 6 West after that?
Yeah.
No, we're not.
Will never end.
We haven't done the light at 400
Yeah.
North.
I don't want to do any more lights on 6
We're doing
West.
a
I'm
light of 400 North on 6
so tired
West?
of construction on 6
We're
West.
gonna talk about that and give me a slide.
Eventually.
And then the other upcoming that we've already talked about, Tennessee Bollards starting here in a couple days. Actually, it might have been today that they were officially starting, but it's upcoming. So those are just some projects that we aren't going to hit talking budget-wise, but you might have had questions about.
Apparently we did.
So now let's kind of focus on roadway projects. I've got 2 slides on what you'll see in the budget as far as roadway transportation projects. The first one is 100 North, or the Thrushwood Bridge into the Island Sumac neighborhood. We've been working on this for a couple of years. The design is now done. We are preparing for bidding. We will be bidding that this fall with construction plan for next summer. There may be, we coordinate with utility providers like Google Fiber, Xfinity, the natural gas. Those companies, we've told them that they could begin as early as this fall getting their utilities out of our way. So there may be, you may see some work out there. It will be the utility providers, not us. In this year's budget, we're asking for $1.2 million towards that project.
Will that fund the entire project?
So you've already approved, the council's already approved $6 million for this project.
See, I felt like one deal was.
So with that 1.2 plus, in a couple slides, I'll get to the water department. With the water department fund, the total project budget is just under 8 million. So that's what
That
we're
sounds.
looking for. Yeah.
I thought it was multi-millions in my head.
Way too good of a deal.
Yeah.
I know, I was like, wait a second.
So this is the, after this
build
year,
bridges
this
for $1 million
project will be fully funded.
Build them all.
And what's the plan for that bridge, just to update it?
Yeah, it is one that needs structural upgrades and enhancements like better pedestrian, safer sidewalks, better angle for the intersection. Yeah, it's one that's, I don't want to say concerned us, but it's one that we need to get replaced.
And it's currently the only access to that entire neighborhood.
That's true, yeah.
So during construction, we'll just ask everybody to park down by the landfill.
Carry your Costco order from there.
We were working on a temporary second access.
Yes.
They're gonna get some canoes.
Pontoon
You
bridge.
can pull yourself across, yeah.
Yeah. And Ernesto can check us on this, but we sent out letters last week to that Sumac neighborhood, giving them some of these details, letting them know.
Check your
I
mail.
was gone, so
Check your mail. I hope
I
it's
think
in
my
there.
wife might have seen it.
The next thing you'll see in there is our active transportation sidewalks budget. This is what we use for example, the Fifth North bike lanes that we did a couple years ago. As we see sidewalks or active transportation needs in the community, we try to use these funds for it. We have upped that from 200,000 to 250,000 this year. So it has grown over the last 8 or so years from, I think we started out as 100,000 and we've been slowly growing it. So you'll see that line item on the budget. 400 North, 600 West. Melissa, this is the picture there you'll see. Right now it's a T intersection. Construction is planned for 2027 to make that a full 4-legged intersection with the crossing of the tracks and connect to the 400 North that's farther west, so fill in that missing gap. We are asking for $3.2 million in this year's budget, and you have previously approved $3 million for this project already. And then you'll see that last bullet, we got a COG grant through the county this last year for $5.8 million for that project. We'll be bringing that to you next week for appropriation. Overall, that puts us right about $12 million for that project, which is the estimated cost for that project.
So have we completed the acquisition that was required across 6th West of the trailers and?
I say the trailer park and the mobile homes in the mobile home park, that acquisition is complete.
Okay.
We are working with the last business owner. They are agreeable. We're just working out terms right now.
Okay.
Does that 12 million include money for that acquisition?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay,
wrapped
it's
up
all
in
in,
that.
okay.
Yeah. All right. Continuing roadway. Paul mentioned that we are reprioritizing Class C funds. So Class C funds come from the state gas tax. Every time you fill up your car, a portion based on your road miles gets allocated to your city. So Logan City receives a little bit north of $2 million a year in Class C funds. Historically, Logan City has allocated $1.2 million to our street division, and they use that for asphalt, for chip and seal, for all the salt we use in the winter, paint. So it's kind of our big supplies for our street division. The state has very specific rules on what those funds can be used for. They have to be transportation related. So 1.2 million has always gone towards the street division, and we have taken about 600,000 each year and put it towards these big capital projects that you see us talk about, that we've been talking about. We have noticed that our costs of doing road maintenance are going up, as well as our lane miles are going up, and the condition of our roads is suffering because of that.
It's going down.
In working with Whit, our streets manager, as well as Hart, the previous streets manager, we felt like it was the right time to stop putting that $600,000 towards these big capital projects and instead use that $600,000 to do heavier maintenance. So instead of chip sealing every road, maybe now we have some money that we can go mill a road and repave it. So there's still going to be large projects, but they're going to be more
Maintenance.
like I struggle to use the word maintenance because they probably cross that threshold into capital projects, but it's going to be keeping what we have nice, I guess, maintenance.
Functional.
And admittedly, I think that change is probably more on how we handle the projects versus where the money goes. It's still going to almost the same projects, but instead of treating it as a capital project that we're doing, we will route it more through our maintenance arm and hopefully be more proactive as opposed to doing a full road reconstruction. We're going to try and get it earlier and extend its life.
Do you feel like those costs are, I mean, obviously costs of goods and employee costs are going up, but do you feel like we're going to need to allocate more funds over the next 10 or 20 years towards maintenance as lane miles increase and as vehicles get heavier and as, I mean, is this something that you expect to continue to grow over the next decade or two?
I mean, maintenance costs are always higher than we have resources for. We could always do more. I don't anticipate us moving more from capital to this. I don't think that's the right way to view that. Again, I don't think that's really what we're doing here. It's more of a, I don't know, vernacular that we use.
Rebranding.
Going the same place.
Yeah.
But no, I would not anticipate taking capital money to maintenance. I don't think that's a good practice at all.
Agreed.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
So if we were to do a transportation impact fee, that too would go toward road maintenance?
Yes.
Utility fee?
It would have to. It would have to go towards transportation purposes.
You're talking transportation utility fee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I guess that's a great point to make is Paul made that point. This is an example of where those funds could help. The 200 East corridor, as a valley, 200 East out north is called Wolfpack Way by Green Canyon High School. North Logan on our northern boundary has invested through the COG and their own funds money into improving 200 East, making this a larger main corridor for the valley. We've seen UDOT now prioritizing 200 East with the X to Y and 100 to 200 East connection project that has been funded and is currently in the environmental phase, but will be going into construction in 3 to 4 years probably. So I bring this up, and we kind of bookend 200 East on the outskirts of Logan. So we feel that we need to put some money towards a study to tell us what do we need to do for 200 East through Logan. This isn't necessarily saying that we're suggesting that we need to rebuild all of 200 East, but give us some help as our partner communities as the CMPO have prioritized 200 East. What does that look like through Logan? So our engineering division this year with this 150,000 will give us a little bit of a roadmap specific to 200 East on what spot improvements we need to do, whether that's a specific signals or roundabouts, or if there's some specific lane configuration changes we need to make. We just want to have this more dialed in as we start to work with our partners and UDOT, especially on the south end of town, on what does 200 East look like as it comes through Logan. So that's what that money's planned for. And as a result of that study, in future years, you'll see 200 East become a project priority corridor.
I think our hope or goal is, as best as we can, predict where the problems will be rather than react to them, and have a roadmap for that.
Yeah.
But I also think we have to be very, very careful because it is a major residential corridor through Logan, and it's not a residential corridor anywhere else.
True.
Through North Logan, through Hyde Park, it was just open fields, and even down to the X to Y, it is not a residential corridor. And I think we need to be mindful of that in any decision we make.
And I think that sensitivity is exactly why we felt like this needed extra attention. And then last one up there, Center Street Bridge. Similar to the first North Rushwood Bridge, the Center Street Bridge needs to be updated, replaced. So we are beginning to put that on our budget sheets, get some money started for what do we need to do with that bridge and hiring designers in future years. So this is the very, very tip of the iceberg of funding, and that will show up more in future budget years.
Okay.
In our water fund, as we've been talking about, the X to Y 100 East, 200 East connection that UDOT has funded, they are funding the surface improvements. They do not fund what they call betterments or our utilities. And if UDOT's giving this opportunity, we need to figure out what utilities need to go as a part of that project. So our water fund, and you'll see on the next slide, our sewer fund are both putting aside money in this budget year for whatever those betterments need to be to maintain our water system and sewer system. And we don't anticipate construction on that for, like I said, 2 to 4 years. It's only in the environmental phase right now. River Park well, this is in River Hollow Park down on the island. The well casing was drilled many, many years ago. We are now putting money in our budget to equip the well, so to put the pump on, build the infrastructure to connect the well to our water system, build the building. So again, the first of a couple budget years where we'll put money towards that project to build a new well for the city's water sources. And this is a part of our water master plan. We've anticipated this for many years. So just nothing out of our master plan's planning.
It's as a side note, it's cool to see these types of projects, in my opinion, come through. It was drilled at least 15 years ago. And since then, it's always kind of been a problem of, okay, if we equip that well, where do we put the water? We don't have pipes to put it into to get it anywhere, tanks. So that's why this is, look, we're looking to bring that on board right after this water tank and transmission line gets on board, because now it's effective to use it. And I don't know if you saw, we had a very large, call it large, water main break over the weekend on Bridger Drive. And similarly, we have pressure zone issues on the west side of town, and this new tank would have helped alleviate. May not have prevented, but possibly could have prevented a leak like that. So it's neat for me to see these types of projects. It's just that next piece in the puzzle.
That's the geeky engineer in you.
Yeah.
I know. And that you've been here that long.
Still only 30 years old.
It's amazing how that works.
The last one highlighting here is concrete collars. This is actually funded partially from the water fund, the water or sewer collection fund, and the street general capital fund. But we put $120,000 between those three funds towards the concrete collars around our manholes and water valves to help the ride quality as you drive down the road. And it also helps maintain our roads, prevent potholes.
How much is it to do just one?
I think we're like
Depending on whether it's a valve or a manhole, that kind of thing, I want to say between 800 to 3,000
yeah.
for one.
So you can do a lot of them for 120.
And as you've seen, we do that every year, 120,000 a year. So the goal is that we can kind of get all of them in the city after a while.
So that stopped them from sinking into the asphalt. So
They're really
whatever
nice
happens,
when they're
Yeah,
on it.
yeah,
It
yeah.
really is helpful.
Really do help. In our sewer collection fund, we've got sewer line projects. This is with the trenchless where we go in under the road without tearing up the road and repair either spots or a little bit longer sections. So we've got 150,000 towards that. Those funds are kind of what's the hot potato in the sewer department at that time. That's where those go. The 1200 South sewer, this is the sewer line by Les Schwab Tires, the south side of the South Walmart. This is the main connection from Providence City to Logan City to get to the wastewater treatment plant. This line is primarily used by Providence City's flows. We have a very negligible portion of the flows. So this is a joint project with Providence City. They're funding most of it. We have a small portion. It's starting this summer. Like I said, since Providence City's the primary funding agency, we hold all the contracts. It's our asset, but they're reimbursing us. So we haven't had to come for budget for it up until now. And our portion will be 300,000 or less to get that new sewer line. So that'll be starting here, honestly, in a month or so.
what's the total cost on that? Do you estimate?
The budgeted amount, I think, was like 2.4. I think the bids actually came in pretty favorable on that. I think it was right around 2 million for the overall design, construction, and construction management.
Thank you.
And then, like we talked about, X to Y and 100, 200 East connection, the sewer department is also putting in 400,000. So between this water and sewer, we've got $1 million for future needs there. In our capital, so public works, like Paul mentioned, we manage the facilities for the city, including the police department. The police department building is nearing its 20-year-old mark and will need a new roof in a couple years. So we will be putting aside, it's $75,000 this year, $75,000 next year, and I believe in the third year it's 50 or so thousand. Putting that aside for the next couple of years so that in 2 to 3 years we can replace the police department's roof.
Until then, we'll just deal with the leaks. I'm just kidding.
You are the best department.
Isn't the police department connected with City Hall? Oh,
It
is
is,
that not?
yes.
It was an addition.
Oh, it's an addition, so the roof is that age, but City Hall's.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of a not so brief overview of our capital plans for the next couple years. Any questions we can answer, capital or just general public works?
I asked all mine
I
online.
say I just interrupt throughout the process. Any other questions for Sam or Paul? I have one last one. When you get that 10 million gallon water tank done but not full of water, can I come take a look?
Sure.
Why are you shaking your
I thought you
head?
were going to say, can I swim in it? And I was
That's
gonna say,
Not full of water.
No,
I promise I will be sanitary. I just would be, I don't know, it's a big
yeah.
tank. It'd be
Wanna look
interesting to,
inside of it?
yeah, it'd be cool to go see.
I don't think you get to go inside of it.
He just wants to look inside of it.
we'll get you in at one point, but maybe before it has a roof or something like that.
That would
be
be a
cool.
better idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or when it has a roof, that'd be cool. Thanks, Paul and Sam.
Thank you very much.
You can stand in the middle and go, can you hear me now?
I know, I want to like sing a song in the middle of it. We'll
They
get
are
George
one
to
of the
come
most
record it.
amazing echo chambers.
Probably. I just think it'd be interesting. It'd be a
When they're
big,
empty, to have a rock thrown on top is a different sound than I've ever heard.
see?
Really? That'd be cool.
Well, with that, let's wrap up. Rich, you want to take us through our proposed property tax impact schedule? Sorry, what's that?
Can I take him a second to go to the restroom?
Yeah. Do you want to pull a short recess before Rich dives into it? We'll take a 3-minute recess.
I've been Good idea.
Go take a break.
I'm gonna go get some water.
We'll adjourn in 3 to 4 minutes. we will turn time over to Rich to run us through our proposed property tax impact schedule for the city of Logan. Do I need to wait for Teresa to push a button?
We're just waiting for the video to start.
Oh, okay. Should I restart it? I can.
Don't say it yet, Jeff. There we go. Wrong. Nope.
We're going?
Okay.
We're going. Okay. Okay. After that recess, we'll turn it on over to Rich for our
Thank you.
property tax schedule increase thing.
So, first of all, this revised fiscal year 2027 property tax impact schedule for the city of Logan is on the back table right now for anyone that wants a copy.
Oh, all of our public.
All of the public or anybody else?
She has been here through this whole meeting. I think she deserves like
That's
a candy
impressive.
bar at the end or something because we are not entertaining.
It is also available on our website, loganutah.gov, finance department, and financial information along with the budget and everything else. It's right there. So anybody that wants a copy can access it through the finance website. I am required to read every bit of this, so I'm going to read it first so that we cover all the statutory requirements, and then we'll come back and we can have some discussion about it, and then the chief will present. But here we go. Fiscal year 2027 property tax impact schedule for the city of Logan. The city of Logan is considering levying a property tax rate that exceeds the certified tax rate. The fiscal year 2027 proposed budget includes a property tax rate increase as follows. The approximate dollar amount of the ad valorem tax revenue that would be generated for the city of Logan is $1.360 million. On this schedule, I had 1.37, but you'll see why. It's 1.360. The approximate percentage increase in tax revenue for the city of Logan from this increase is 22.88%. The approximate percentage increase to the amount of property tax paid in total, not just to the city of Logan, on average residents would be 0%, and we'll explain why. The approximate percentage increase on the amount of property tax paid in total, not just to the city of Logan, on an average commercial property, because of this increase, is 0%. Cache County Ordinance 2026-23 reduces the Cache County general levy for fire service. It is intended that the city of Logan proposed property tax increase will not increase the overall property taxes paid by Logan residents. Amounts that were paid to Cache County for fire service would instead be paid to Logan City to be used for fire service. The additional property tax dollars are proposed to be used as follows. In the non-departmental department, fund additional street lighting utility expenses of $54,614. The operational impact, non-departmental will be able to pay the full cost of calculated street lighting utility fees to the electric department. The police department fund a police officer 1 position for $131,086. The operational impact is that the police department will be able to fund 1 additional position, otherwise that position would have to be eliminated. The fire department fund the ongoing operational cost of new station 73 for $1,174,300. The operational impact, the fire department would be able to fund the operational cost of new station 73. Otherwise, Logan would either have to reduce service in another area of the budget or reduce fire service. The total of these specified increases is $1.360 million. That fulfills that requirement. Again, Cache County 2 weeks ago passed resolution 2026-23. It increased their fire district levy. Logan is not serviced by the fire district, therefore our residents will not be affected by that increase that they passed. At the same time, they're decreasing their general levy to all Cache County residents, including Logan residents. That is reducing our levy by approximately $1.360 million. So our proposal is that we raise our property tax rate by the amount that Cache County is decreasing their rate, and we allocate that percentage to those services that I listed there, with the majority of it going toward fire and the operations of Station 73. Our rate increase, if council passes this, we will have we will hold, so if council intends to pass this as it's written out, we would hold public hearings for our budget, which we would tentatively adopt on June 16th. And then we would have a separate property tax, truth and taxation public hearing that's anticipated for August 11th at 6 p.m. So anything that we do now, we'll have those public hearings that will follow. Did I cover this entirety? I know we've talked about this a little bit. But the intent, although it would show up when we advertise those hearings as a roughly 22.8, 23%, it'll probably drop down to like a 21% increase just because of the new calculations on values. But probably somewhere in that range, although it will be advertised as that because we have no control over that. The way those figures are calculated is done by the state. The intent is that our Logan residents would not see a property tax increase because of our actions. Instead, what they would get is the property taxes that were paid to Cache County, that were for fire service, would then be paid to Logan for fire service, and thereby we'd be able to open Station 73 at some point in the near future and operationally fund that.
But we're also we also put into that amount because originally we were going to increase property taxes by 3%.
That's true.
And so now we are taking some of the fire money and using it not for fire.
So the intent there again was not to raise taxes above what Cache County is decreasing taxes for our residents. Because of that, we did have to decrease the amount that's going toward fire. In other words, we're not asking for that full amount back because we already were planning for this 3% increase for those other purposes that we've discussed, the police officer, the utility fees that we can't avoid. So I think rather than asking for a 25% increase, with that being a 3% overall increase to the revenue that Logan City was getting, we just said we can live on the 1.36 million. We can roll in those other items that we were requesting this year. And although, opening that station is going to be difficult, and this doesn't fund all the pieces of that station, it comes very close, and we can fill in those gaps over the coming years, including capital replacement, apparatus, and those types of things. Now, this covers the operational cost of Station 73. It doesn't cover the capital cost. Those are some things that we will have to come up with over the coming years. But because of our current contract with North Logan, some of those funds can help fund the station. We have other capital funds that are generated by the fire department currently through their contracts with other cities. We can take those funds and allocate them toward the new station. In addition, we are earning interest on some of the funds that we have already appropriated, but we have not spent, and we can allocate some of those toward this future station. All of that would come to council in the future for some sort of approval. But over the next 2 to 5 years, we could generate the funds necessary to build the station, and these operational funds will fund it. In the meantime, these operational funds will go toward capital until it's done.
So we're going to save it
There you go.
until we have enough to build the station, or the station becomes a necessity.
Yes.
Just so I know exactly what you were saying between capital and non-capital.
And it's very difficult to predict, but I see that happening, building the station, as soon as 2 years from now and as distant as 5 years from now, having the capability to build the station. When we actually pull that trigger would be up to council. Anyway.
Thank you.
Okay.
Questions for Rich? We also have Chief Thompson here, and I know he has a small presentation if we want to go through that before we pick Rich apart, or we can continue to pick on Rich.
I have a quick one. Just, so you're saying that we're not going to do the 3% tax increase if we do this?
This would be the 3% as well as.
Rolled
this would be
into it.
Rolled into
The
it.
3% would be taken off the top,
Yeah.
the fire
Because still,
allocation.
we're sitting at not increasing the dollar amount that people are paying
Correct.
for their taxes.
And the reason for that really is, we're required to disclose the percentage that it would increase overall taxes on a residence. Well, rather than having to say 3% with 22% and people becoming confused, I thought, it's better to present it this way. It's 22% increase to revenue that Logan receives, however, your overall impact is 0. So I believe.
Have you run this
that's
by the state? Can we actually write it this way?
I have no idea. Of course, I don't think they have any idea either. I talked to the state tax commission who's responsible for this, and I don't know how we actually calculate something that isn't within our control. There are 3 other taxing entities that participate in the overall property tax that someone is paying, and so this should pass muster. Regardless, there is a provision within the statute that says as long as you tried and did a good job, and I think we're doing a good job of trying, that they won't fail us this first year. However, next year they might.
So
Another good incentive to pass it.
how does this conversation impact, what if the county turned around and didn't do anything at all? How would this conversation impact that decision?
So I think it would be very unlikely that anything will happen other than what we've presented, because they've already set those wheels in motion. However, until it's in black and white, we can't really see it. Once it is in black and white on those disclosure forms that go to residents, worst case scenario, if it does not turn out the way that we are anticipating and then intents are changed where they can be, we can change what we're proposing.
So we can reduce what we're proposing.
We could. So because we're putting this forward, we can reduce these amounts, but we cannot substantially change them other than reducing. We can't increase and we can't change it to another purpose without redoing this part of the hearing.
Okay.
But we can, because we have gone through this stage, we can reduce it.
If it all went south, we could take out the big number and just have the 2 little numbers.
That is true.
But then we're raising 3%.
Then we'd be raising 3%. almost.
And actually paying, people would be paying more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other
starts
thing
to
that's
come up
super important, Katie's touched on this several times. So let's just say that this 22.88% is an actual increase to the city of Logan, and Cache County does not do anything. What would be the impact there? Well, it would be about a 2.75% overall increase to people's taxes. Because we're at 11 to 12% of the overall taxes, 11 to 12% of 23% is about 2.75%. So we're not, even though 22% is shocking, and I realize that,
Actually,
to
it
put it in
sounds
perspective, it's 2% of their overall property taxes. And we're talking roughly $70 on the average home, which is $530,000. So $70 per year is the amount we're talking about.
This is how I talk my wife into new cars. Just so you know. It sounds exactly like this.
But just to make it very clear, that $70 average is what we're discussing that would remain unchanged.
Correct.
So I just want to make that
Just
clear.
goes in a different pot.
Exactly, it's being pulled out of county and then allocated for these proposed purposes.
Yes.
And for a net difference on the property tax for the Logan resident.
Of 0.
Correct.
Yeah.
Can I throw a wrench in it just a little bit?
Always, please do.
Why?
What kind of ranch?
A monkey one.
This is, what everything I've said is accurate. However, individual property tax payers are treated differently. As the county reassesses certain properties over here on this side and doesn't assess these, what that means is the tax burden shifts to these that they've reassessed. The overall amount does not change, but there is a little bit of a shift. And what happens is, I think they look at 1/5 of the city or 1/3 of the city per year. There is some shifting that happens, and those people will see some big changes to the property tax. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. But there could be some shifting that happens. It's just the way our law is written. It's the way truth in taxation works.
It would
I
happen
don't love it.
regardless.
It would happen
But it would
regardless.
happen regardless. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
That's not a very big wrench.
It's a little.
It's a little bit rich when somebody gets
It's
it's
when
a
the
big-
person's emotional about it. It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's understanding
It
that,
is.
Yeah.
Ernesto?
Question, hypothetical question. Did I hear that at the state legislature, they were considering putting a cap on how much we can increase tax? So if that had passed, could we even be having this discussion?
No.
More likely, no. I don't know what the law would have said. It possibly could have had a caveat for this type of thing where somebody's decreasing, somebody's increasing, but more than likely, no, we could not have this conversation. And here's the problem. Assume for a moment, Chief is gonna make the case, but assume for a moment that we really need this and we need it right now and we have to pass property taxes. We would have no way of funding that station. Because this takes a 20% increase, and if our cap is 5, we would be in a real pickle.
Cutting budget.
Yeah.
That would not be now that's probably why the tax did not pass. That tax cap. That law probably did not pass for that very reason, but it's scary to think it could in the future, and we may not have the ability to deal with something like this in the future. That's why this is an opportunity for us to address an issue that we know is coming.
Okay, I'm going to ask the question. If we know it's coming, how have we been planning for it so far?
The chief will address some of that.
Okay.
He'll address some of that, what we've been doing in the interim. But I can verify, we've been talking about this for a long time. And like I do, I've been pushing it as far as I can in the future because we always knew we could never deal with this issue, opening Station 73. I had no operational way of dealing with it. I couldn't prepare for it other than to do a 5% increase over a 5-year period. But it's, for reasons that the chief can speak to more than I can, it's hard to open a quarter of a station. Now you can hire people and you can put them at other stations, but it's hard to open a quarter of a station. It's hard to open half a station. It's hard to open 3/4 of a station. You either have a station or you have no station.
Or you're just, you've planned for and you built the building and you have no way to staff it.
Yeah.
It's true. And that would be tough as well.
So what was the plan before?
The plan, so we're going back 20 years, was to have the airport build the station and staff it.
But that's not going to happen.
That's not
No.
yet. But that was a 20-year-ago plan.
Yeah.
Now, 5 years ago, there was a little different plan. We could combine with North Logan and make some sort of concessions on both sides where we're operating a station that's in North Logan. And that's kind of a Band-Aid approach, and the chief will speak to that. That was our more recent. I don't know if there's another interim step. Possibly, we have talked about this. We hire a couple firefighters. We house them in the Station 70 or someplace else. And we try to get to a point where we've got some capability to respond. I don't know, Chief, do you want to?
Sure. Do we have any other questions for Rich before? I think we should just turn it over to you for a presentation.
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
okay?
And, my intent was, I was asked to educate on Zone 73 and some of the background information. So I circulated that presentation before the weekend to hopefully people able to look through it and have some questions for me to help clarify. Because it's a lot of data, and I get it. And you go back to these, these issues of, well, why wasn't it? Well, in the language of the current North Logan consolidation agreement, in our interlocal agreement. In 2026, this is the year it said, by now, you cities are going to decide what we're going to do with the north end of this coverage area. North Logan has a problem. We had this growing problem in the northwest side of Logan City. So here we are, and it was completely ironic that this whole thing happened with the district. So the timing is, we were supposed to get this solved by now, and we are moving forward. The biggest piece was, how do we deal with it financially? How do we come up with the capital? So you can imagine, from my viewpoint, not being a part of the district, that money coming available specifically for fire is like, wow, finally we have monies that were intended for fire, what Logan City taxpayers have been spending the entire existence of the district is finally coming back to Logan. My opinion is that piece is probably a done deal. I mean, unless something catastrophic happens, Logan City was their first priority. Where we're seeing some issues in terms of the plan being a little more dynamic is, how do they deal with the remaining district cities and the revenues? The biggest question I get is, how is the county going to replace the money, the $1.3 million from Logan City? That's the question I get the most often. So their plan is most of those monies will actually come from the unincorporated part of the county. They've built their new formula that's changed a lot based off of those unincorporated areas actually covering that difference from losing Logan taxpayer money. I know that was George Dane's one of his primary objectives, is getting the Logan money out and replacing it with county dollars. So that to me was a good, and it made me feel good that, hey, this is finally probably going to happen. So with that, were there some things in this, because I know everyone's been here a long time, I don't really necessarily need to take you through the entire piece unless council hasn't seen it.
Can we run through it?
Mike?
I know we've all seen it.
You bet. Yeah, absolutely.
But for the public record,
absolutely.
those online,
let me take you through. It's not super long. So
yeah, let's just go through it.
But yeah, as the brief history, as Rich mentioned, this has been, I came to Logan in 2003, and I remember when Chief Meeker came, it was on the long-term plan of Logan City, and I've seen that through 3 or 4 different fire chiefs. Now, we always have known that the Mount Logan area, that the southeast furthest point of Logan City and the northwest part of Logan City were always our slowest response times. We've seen that data, we've known that data. The pressure on us going to the northeast or the southeast side of Logan City is much less frequent than our traveling to the northwest side of Logan City. And so that has stayed a big concern for us in terms of our response times. And we briefly talked in March 2020, after that small earthquake, the fact that downtown Logan Station was early 70s, didn't really have the seismic stability that it should have for a public safety building. There was concern about us being able to roll our fire apparatus out, even after a moderate earthquake. It quickly became the focus of getting replaced as soon as possible. So we worked through that project. It's a beautiful station, as we know, and with that, knowing that we were prolonging us dealing with Zone 73. So what did we do? Well, we consolidated with North Logan in 2020. We took over their operations for their fire department. 2020 put our firefighters in at least the better proximity on the north end of town. Knowing that we were responding from 1200 East, at least we now had firefighters on the north side of Logan and North Logan. It helped both of our cities tremendously. And you've got 2500 North and 1800 North, 1400 North. Those are pretty, good east-west arteries that allowed us to get there, still knowing we were falling, 3 and 4 minutes behind probably where we were supposed to be per the NFPA 17 standard. So that's what we've done, and when we've used that with since we've had that contract in place with North Logan since 2020, with 2026 budget being the year to look at, hey, what are our options for a fire station to deal with the growing northwest side. And like we've kind of already gone through the structuring or the restructuring of the county fire district. I kind of already shared with you that. So were there really any questions as to, Rich explained this super well, so I don't know if we'd really necessarily need to go through this. Third bullet here though, with that growth, I already mentioned the National Fire Protection Agency, the 1710 standard. That covers how many firefighters should be in a firehouse, how fast we should be getting turned out, how fast we should be getting to scene. Well, the one this one focuses on is from dispatch to arrival. That standard says for a career fire department, we should be on scene with our first unit in 4 minutes or less. Okay? Additionally, we have a resource center coming to Logan that's I believe it's the Tri-County Receiving Center for Mental Wellness. It's almost complete. We don't anticipate a huge surge there, but it could be as many as 80 to 120 calls annually. We're waiting to see. I just checked in with the Farmington Fire Chief. I talked to Shelby the other day. They've got a very similar center down in just outside of Bountiful, just right there on the edge of Farmington and Bountiful. And she says it averages about 100 calls a year. Okay? None of that data is in my data that I shared with you. It was just that knowledge of knowing that that's coming and it's going to bring with it immediately 100 more calls. So that's something we knew was coming for about 4 or 5 years, and now it's here. I think we could all agree that what we've watched happen with the congestion on Main Street, specifically in that corridor, traffic, it seemed like within 2 or 3 years, changed tremendously down the corridor. I don't need to spend time on other than it adds additional risk for that crossing back and forth between that area. Our people do a phenomenal job dealing with it, but when they're running lights and sirens, it does tend to slow them even more, trying to be very careful through that area. So zone 73, so where that is, just to give you that idea, pretty much the west, as you look at the red box, the western border, the northern border are pretty much fixed. That's going to follow the western barrier or the western boundary of our response zone, what we actually call officially, if you can see the blue lines in these, currently zone 73 is an area. It's not a specific response zone that our dispatch center actually sends us to. It's an area we monitor with our data. The blue lines are the response zone areas, and those right now make up Station 120, which is Zone 12, and Station 71N and 71S. Those are the blue lines that dispatch uses. So you can see we're tracking data in the combination of 2 and 3 different response zones. Now, where we haven't decided is where, based on, I've got some data here later on I'll show you, the east boundary and that south boundary are going to be the ones that we have to adjust to make sure we balance the call volume correctly. Our big problem tends to be the north and the west. The closer you get to 10th North and 400 East in that area, you're starting to converge in other stations. You can see the red dots. Those are the closest stations to that area right now, up on 1200 East. So that's something that still has to be fine-tuned. But we had to draw the line for the data. Lots of information here. Councilman Johnson asked me, said, "Nate, can you get us some more data?" So what I've done is pulled you a nice cross section, in the table that's in the bottom right with the bar graph, those are our actual times into Zone 73 in the red box, indicated by the numbers. Those are the actual number of calls that I pulled throughout that area for you. Clear out to 10th West and the airport and Airport Road, clear up to the 1800 North, those areas. And what we do is the upper right dial, we use the 90th percentile to actually measure. That's the one universally across the fire service we use to look at data, because we'll typically poll, what that does is if I have the 50 calls or the 56 calls, they like to take our 5 fastest times out of there. It's like, those are anomalies. We want to see that data. We want to see your data without those fastest times. Now, if you look at my bar graph, you've got some unique anomalies. There's one in September, there's one in October, there's a couple in November that were extremely fast. Most likely, we had units probably in the area that were able to get on scene first, and that's good. That's great for that area. But the concerning piece should be really the 10 minutes and 56-second response time with the 90th percentile. Even going down to averaging all calls, we're at 7 minutes, 11 seconds for first unit on scene from there. And in other parts of our districts, particularly in the urban center, we are typically 3 to 4 to, and even sometimes 4.5 minutes. We do pretty good. I wish I could say we nail this standard all the time, but it's our goal, right? I mean, that's where we try to hit. The way we're staffed, the distances we're traveling, it's our target always. But we do our best, and we've done our very best for 2 decades as I've watched that in that northwest side of town and in the urban center. Sometimes we're a little slower than the 4 minutes because we're on 2 or 3 calls at the same time, right? It's just the nature of the beast. So that's the data from those, the 53 calls I pulled from 73. Hopefully, does that answer questions on the dials and where those come from?
Yeah, I'm assuming with your upper control that.
What's that?
45-minute call wasn't included.
Yeah, so if you look at the,
Your average.
so when you take those out of there, that here again is your 10% anomaly. That was probably a standby for probably an air ambulance that was coming in, fixed wing into the airport probably.
Gotcha.
And they were there for a while waiting for a baby to be flown out or flown in or
Gotcha.
whatever. So you get those, but that's just the nature of the beast of the EMS. So.
But that's not included in your average there.
Okay, so the history of the growth. So I've left the North Logan information in here because I just want everyone to understand that it's a complicated deal, and we are renegotiating a contract with them for hopefully the next at least 4 years, and as long as we are able to work together, because our EMS licensure includes the North Logan City. Our Bureau of EMS license, by law, we have to cover and protect that area, as we said we would in our RFP when we did that in the fall. It said, hey, you'll cover that. The way the law reads now is when it reopens in 2029, North Logan would say, hey, we may want to try something else. I personally don't see that happening, but that's the way that's what the law allows them to do now. So, the coverage at Cache Valley Hospital and throughout North Logan, as you can see, adds to that the call volume for that station, indicated with the red circle there just right under North Logan. Right now, just right there, right now, in 2021, that area, when we took them over, we were about 53% Logan calls, about 47% North Logan calls. You can see those numbers there. Now, what the quarter of IFTs are that I've circled at Logan Regional Hospital, why I have to do that is all 4 stations right now in the Logan system rotate through taking out-of-county interfacility transfers from McCady Hospital down south. So I have to include a quarter of those for our station for you to get a good feel for what else are they doing on top of that. And that station, even in 2021, if we were to have had a station that was covering Zone 73 all by itself, we would have already been at 1,349 runs. When you fast forward now to 2025, that same area with those North Logan calls, you're up to 1,918 total runs with a quarter of the IFTs, and still the ratio pretty similar, 54% Logan, 40%, 6% North Logan. And I look at the 1900 and I know what that number means. To me, I have to look and say, well, we are probably going to have to adjust the boundary. That would literally make this our busiest firehouse in Logan City Fire Department. So we'll have to probably move some boundaries a little bit, and they are movable, particularly the south and the east. So as you can see, 42% increase in that zone in just that 4-year time span. Now, Mike asked me and Mayor asked me, let's look at the data without North Logan. And this is probably just more for you, just for additional information. Hey, well, what does it look like without them? Now, you notice my number at the hospital goes down. The reason I do that, once I pull what we would call ST120 or ST12 out of this data, unfortunately, my data gets a little bit dirty, to be totally honest with you. It's not super clean, because now I'm pulling one station's rigs and their station that's been assigned to a quarter of those IFTs to that hospital out now. So now you're not seeing 120 participating at all in there. So this would be more or less just for calls that would be Logan City based. And still your 664 calls without their information back in 2021. And then as we bounce to last year's data, that bounced up to 853 calls. So even without North Logan, you're about a 28.5% increase. So what does that look like? That's why I said, look, 1,900 calls. Station 70 downtown has always been the busiest and will continue to do so. I just kind of wanted to pull the current Station 120 data for you. 1,223 incidents in 2025. They are the primary station that responds out there to 73. And so you can see by dealing with those boundaries for that zone, we would probably have to move some to make sure, because I don't really have the ability in terms of resources to manage 1,900 calls there. We built our urban center fire department with additional personnel. We've got our critical care paramedic, an additional person to help staff an extra rescue when needed. So we would pull that boundary a little bit and probably try to keep them more in the, the 1,400 range on calls. But that at least gives you an idea of how that 1,900 calls compares to the 1,200 they're actually, currently running with the zones drawn the way they are now. So in summary, and it is just a fact, in those areas, we do have people waiting for service longer, 3 minutes or longer in that zone right now. We've seen the growth. We know that there's new neighborhoods there. There's going to be newer commercial in that as the city continues to expand that way. And here again, combined with the timing of the county's move, with the district dollars now being able to come into Logan City dollars for the fire department, really we can't build one overnight. It takes time. It's going to take time to grow money and get our rolling stock in line with our apparatus. But we felt like the timing is near perfect for this. Questions? There's the overview there.
So I do have a question, Nate. You talked about the number of calls that if you separated out Logan in that geographic area, did you say 83?
853.
853.
Yep.
Then you just said that there were 1,200 incidents in that area. Did the 1,200 incidents?
That's including North Logan.
Yeah, so with our actual data from 2025 is right here. So see the red box, that large red box?
Right.
In that area, with 2025's data, with North Logan and Logan numbers, you would have had 1,918 total runs between the two cities.
But when you had the other graph, there were only 1,200 incidents.
Your bar graph is down 3 slides, I think.
Yeah.
Correct. So remember, see the blue boxes? See the blue lines? So remember, the red box is our area that's zone 73, right? It's the area that we've been tracking. When I see, but remember these blue lines. See the blue box that runs down Main Street? You can see the North Logan zone. See North Logan City? You can see the blue box that goes around there, okay? That one right there is what we would call zone 12, and that is this number right here,
Which
1,220. Number? They were assigned 1,223 of the calls, and they all were generated in their area, that blue box in their zone, plus a quarter of the IFTs.
But that's all North Logan.
It is. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, but with this, sorry, Jeannie. So with this though, so that's the state. Those are the calls that we actually ran last year. Okay. You'll notice there's no Station 73 or Engine 73. Our current zones match the stations: 12, 72, 71, 70. So that's why when we gather this data. So when you come up here to 25, see the numbers in the upper east side of Logan, or in North Logan? See for example, the 7 and the 14 up on their east bench? None of that data is counted in this data. Now, in the future, someone will have to run those. We only are giving you data for what would be happening if we redrew those blue boundaries into my big red box right there. That would now become its own zone. And that station, the red circle in North Logan, that red dot would move west down into about the center of this box for responding.
This is probably a dumb question, but I know you have talked about, crossing Main Street and the congestion. So the red box is still going over Main Street.
It does.
So
it does.
Can you share with us, just so we understand?
No, sure. I think it's an excellent question. Mike asked me the same thing. So the way things are, unless we're willing to draw the line right down Main Street,
yeah,
right? If we want to put it on Main, then we've probably solved our problem. We also have the realities of not being able to have a station everywhere we want it. So our thinking was, with them being much closer to Main Street, so now we're going from 1200 east to hopefully 200 west, maybe 400 west is the area we've been looking. They're much, much closer to that area for response. Yes, they still have to cross. That's something we're going to have to decide is that worth it? If we draw the line on Main, then the east station could cover to Main Street and the west could cover to there. It certainly could be, but for purposes of where the call volumes are and being also, I think, considered to the interlocal agreement between Logan and North Logan, the contract specifically said the two cities will look at the data and recommend areas that are the best. And some of this data, see that 534 calls right there in the circle that's in the center of that zone? That 534 is Cache Valley Hospital, it's Pioneer Valley Lodge, it's Maple Springs. Two of the biggest users of our system, or three of the biggest users of our system in that area, and they all are west of that 400 east. So we're just going to have to decide, hey, where are we going to draw the line and do our best. If we have to change it, we will. But no, it's an excellent question. Yeah.
So Nate, how many calls or incidents at what number do you say, oh my gosh, we are overwhelmed everywhere else, we need another station?
At what number? Well, I think what we'll do, we typically will look at redundancy in calls in terms of how many simultaneous calls that we have. That's data we look. I'm a little frustrated, the new nearest system, which is the new National Incident Response System that we report all of our call data to. It is not as good a data as our old system from NFIRS, unfortunately. In the NFIRS system, and we had to switch over January 1 of this year, we're hoping that some of that data is going to come back. I can at least look at previous year's data, but as I look at 3 or 4 or 5 calls simultaneous, once that percentage is sitting much higher where we don't have units available, which happens quite often with that information. That's the data we'll typically use in terms of determining like, hey, we need more bodies. Well, we usually use that to say, hey, we need one more rescue company in service. So if I can see that all 3 or 4 stations are busy 25 to 35% of the time, that's dangerously low in resources. Because at that point now we're asking our mutual aid partners to come in and cover calls in Logan. Happens occasionally, to be honest. You have a big call like the bad crash or a big fire or MCI or a shooting. I mean, yeah, all of a sudden you're committed, and on occasion we'll use mutual aid. But I'll watch the 2 and 3 and 4 calls, simultaneous calls, being answered by our companies and only being available, 40 to 60% of the time.
So it doesn't have anything to do with like 1,400 calls, so it stipulates that you need a station.
Correct. Yeah, it's the utilization of the units and the personnel, and so that's why we watch how often they're being utilized. Our trend tends to be higher, probably percentage-wise, because we're very isolated here in Utah specifically. Our interfacilities, it'll take our rescue companies out of town 2.5 to 5 hours, depends. We lose a rescue company every time we send those. And as you well know, a lot of the times we allow 2 out at a time. So,
But you
30,
said
40.
those are going down.
What's that?
You said that was trending downward.
Yeah, they've been pretty flat. They've been flat, they're down a little bit, yep. So that's what we'll watch, Dee, is that's what I like to do, is we'll look at that information in terms of the simultaneous calls and how often our units are out simultaneously and unavailable for 911 service.
Do you know how often that happens right now?
I don't have it right with me, but I could get follow-up data, for sure. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you can get that.
I'd like to actually circle back to the county receiving center, and I'm glad actually you brought that to this conversation, and that wasn't something that we were really considering or thinking about when this was first shared, because we're talking about county dollars that have been utilized for fire district, for fire, that now.
I'm not.
Are you
Exhaling.
disagreeing?
No, I'm not
I
exhaling
know,
you.
you know where I'm going with this, but you said the low end potentially, obviously we don't know until it's open, but comparatively with the Farmington, Bountiful, you said 50 to 100?
Yeah.
So low end.
Chief Willis said they've seen years as high as 100, usually 80 to 100. She thought this year they were on track for at least 80, but we're only halfway through the year. So, I think to be safe, you say, well, if it's 100 call, if it's less than 100, we're good. But 100 back into that zone, that now you're at 2018 without any change.
And on top of that, I think what we're looking at, again, county dollars, shifting those over to city for utilization for fire, and as it pertains to the receiving center, that will have a potential impact on police as well. So that's something so I think those are actually, just to be considering, in this context. So it was useful I'm not saying that's the driver at all.
Sure.
We know that's not the driver.
Yeah,
This has
yeah.
been a growing area and issue.
But it's
for some time.
reality.
But it's something that wasn't part of the driving that's additive, that we need to be, taking into all of this for consideration.
Yes. Well, and it'll sit right here on this corner. You can kind of see where I'm circling
Oh, I see it
with
now,
my
yeah.
mouse. The receiving
It's
center
by
right
It's
here.
by the 22.
Right by 23.
Oh, okay.
That's a pretty
gotcha.
small
That area.
airplane pattern.
Small mouse.
Yeah, I know, sorry, I'm trying to slow
Make
it
it big and red.
Airplane circling.
Okay.
right there.
Tight turn there.
That is what spot did you say?
What's that?
What is that
Receiving
spot?
center.
That's a receiving
That would
center?
be the mental wellness receiving center.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's a tri-county facility run by Bragg.
Yes.
But they're also relying a lot on it being, they
24/7.
talk a lot about it being volunteer, like you walk yourself in there.
Yeah.
Sure, there'll be some of that. And it will be staffed 24/7.
Yeah.
Well, and I believe the way it'll be, I believe a psychologist or psychologist is going to be remote, and then it'll be managed by like a physician assistant, so that the goal is to keep people that do check themselves in, to keep them out of ERs. Unfortunately, we've got this, this epidemic of mental wellness cases in ERs, and the only places for them are specialty resource centers, and there's not enough of them. So we transport them anywhere from McCady Hospital clear down to Payson, some of the new ones that have popped up in Utah County. So I'm hopeful, hopefully their model is successful, and it's to keep people that are in crisis from ending up in the ER and giving them a couple of days to recalibrate, essentially. So we're hopeful. And I was hopeful, I was actually super excited to hear from Shelby that it had only been an impact of about 100 calls annually for her. What we really thought when it first came out, with Chief Hannick, when they first proposed it, it would be substantially more than that. So hopefully the model is working. So.
More questions for Chief Thompson or Rich?
So I do have a question, Rich. We save this money. We save $1 million a year. Do we decide it's time to build the fire station when we have $10 million, or do we decide it's time to build the fire station when we need it?
I would hope if we pass this that we build it as soon as it's practical, which I would hope is I'd hope immediately we acquire property and figure out the location and then get a design and figure out how much it would cost approximately and save toward that goal. And my hope again is that that is somewhere between, if we adopt this now, 2 years from now, maybe the longest 4.
And then the money that is released after that station is built would be used specifically for personnel
Yes. Yeah.
and
It would fund that station ongoing. Now, over the next 2 to 4 years, we need to add a little bit to that.
Yeah.
Because one point, although we already have 3 firefighters allocated at North Logan Station, I believe our shortfall is 1.25-ish, so we're not quite there. But that doesn't cover the ongoing capital or some maintenance. So there's some other costs, but we're not talking huge amounts. We're maybe talking $250,000 to $300,000. Ongoing would fund the apparatus as well as the capital replacement.
but we would stick in that $1.2 million amount. Or, I mean, it will increase by some over time, but that money would not go anywhere else.
No, it funds the station.
But is that part of our responsibility to articulate that at this time? Or is that?
I mean, I think we have. I think we've said it'll fund the operational costs of new Station 73.
How does that 1.25 that will go towards operations fit into the roughly $2 to $2.5 million that we say a station costs to run or to operate?
Well, again, strictly speaking to Logan and how we take care of Logan, we have 3 firefighters along with some other budget allocated to the North Logan contract.
And some admin too.
And so, I mean, that 2.5 includes capital, or 2 million, whatever the number is, includes capital and everything else.
Like saving?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Includes saving for capital.
Well,
Or a new
for
fire
future
engine.
expansion.
We're
future-
half an hour past our deadline, everyone's getting tired.
But, no, I mean, I just want to make sure that we're not, that we're doing something that is really a critical need for Logan.
Right.
Probably not today, but in the future, and that it is
I mean,
a need we can
also.
fill this way, but that we also put guardrails on it so that it is only going there.
That's where it goes.
Absolutely. That's what it will go to. We don't know the cost of a new station. I'm guessing it's somewhere in the $5 to $6 million figure. I think that will cover it. The Station 72, I think the cost was less than $1 million, but that was
30 years ago.
That wasn't that long. It was 12, 15
Yeah,
years.
we've had to add on.
Oh, you mean-
We had to add
oh.
the other bay and.
You know
One down
what?
at the golf course.
Is that the one up by the university?
No, by the
No,
golf course.
golf
The one by the university, I think, was 600,000. I think that one was about $1 million-ish, something in that range. I know.
No,
Oh, it was?
no.
It really was.
But the one at the golf course is 30 years old.
No.
No, it was built during Meeker's time.
2010 or
It
12,
was ready,
put it in
yeah.
service?
Yeah, something like
2012,
that.
I think.
2012,
I was a
maybe.
brand new paramedic, yeah. It was.
And I do remember when we built the one up at the university, because the
University was like
university,
2004.
they donated the money,
Yeah.
or donated the property.
Yeah.
And we don't know the actual cost. I'm guesstimating 5 million. If it's 5 million, I think we can get there relatively soon. Now, the other problem is apparatus. Now, the North Logan contract and how that's renegotiated may help us move into that a little smoother than it would otherwise be. But we've got some apparatus that needs to be purchased. In fact, even if North Logan does continue on, their apparatus is mostly used up, so I'm not sure it helps a ton. But we do have an engine and then some other equipment that we would need for this new station.
And how many people would be in that station?
We would originally plan for total of 5, but working 4 is how that would go. So
one
look at it
company.
as 4 people a day.
One
So
company?
12 personnel total.
So three, is that called 3 companies?
Yep, 3 battalions, 4 people a day out of that station. That's how it runs now up in North Logan. We would run that station. We should be able to manage it with the 4 daily, with that call volume.
So you have 12, we would have 12 additional hires.
No, not additional. I mean, really, it's all part of what's being funded now.
It'd be 10 additionally funded with Logan tax dollars.
And you can do that with 1.25.
Yes, 1.174.
Plus some additional in the future.
10
one
additional
is
employees.
10 personnel, yeah.
Firefighters.
10 more than we have today.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Salary and benefits.
And we're keeping the money that's going to one police officer as well. That will always be coming from this fund.
It would. From this tax increase, that's what it would be.
Yeah.
1 police officer, 10 firefighters roughly, and $54,000. So that's the USD.
There you go on vacation now that you're here. Jump in the ocean.
So what are you hoping to get from this, Mike?
What's that?
What would you like to have from this?
I mean, this is just a workshop, so.
So it's just a chat.
Well, but I did.
But we're not making any decisions.
So if we're kind of done with this part of the discussion, there's a little bit more that we need to discuss. I'm sorry.
We've been holding out.
It'll be relatively painless.
Does anyone else have any questions or concerns? Is you're more to discuss on this tax increase?
It's on this, but it's related to everything else as well.
Are there any more questions for Rich?
It's related
or
to
Chief?
everything else.
At age 20.
I know.
Go ahead.
Before any, Melissa?
I think so. Okay.
From us tonight, you need to know what goes on the June 13th. Is that where we're going?
June 16th.
16th. Sure.
Yes, that's
Whatever
what
date that
that's
is.
what I need to know. Now, obviously, you can't make a decision now because we have to have the public hearing. But I need to know what we bring forward to that public hearing as far as a council proposed.
Is this a share your opinion again? And we'll put it on the agenda like last time. Should I wave my gavel around again?
But what we would propose, obviously, from the administration side, is that we put this in the budget as advertised. I will have to true up the property tax numbers that I'll get on June 8th. And then I bring that to the council meeting to be adopted. Now, obviously, you can make changes because that's the whole purpose of it, to have that public hearing and make changes if necessary. However, that is a document we have to adopt that day. And if there are extensive changes, we may have to take a break while I run upstairs and recalculate and make sure I'm not giving bad information. That's like, but if I could bring what you most likely are leaning toward, that would be even better.
We've done this in the past where you brought three options. You know, I love this.
But I need to put one of them in there, and I need to advertise that one thing.
Well, do we have any other options?
We
I
have
mean, really, you
multiple
have
options. We have all the options in
You
the
can do whatever you
world.
want. You can say yes, no, or any number in between.
Yeah, that's true.
A
You
ton
could
of,
kill the fire department of it, and go back to what the mayor proposed.
Wait, we can cut their whole butt? No, I'm just.
You can, yeah, we can do whatever we want, but realistically, if you feel like the department is in need and what we just discussed is legitimate within the next 3 to 5 years, then I think we have to pass this budget. Sorry, this proposed, we have to go down the process of.
We have to go down the path.
We have to go down that path further. If you
Go on
believe it's
adventure.
needed.
I will honestly say that I believe that if the need is there and the money is restricted to only be used in that regard, I think we should put it forward for a public hearing.
I agree. Because I think at this point, we've provided some context for and rationale for
For our one person listening.
why this is being
Thank you.
considered. And I think we should hear from the public
What they
and get a
feel like.
sense
Yep.
of what they think about it.
I think we should too, because we can't really move forward without hearing from them. Difficult to, I guess.
Any opinions you want to share, Ernesto?
I think the presented need of expanding the services there makes sense. And if it's going to take this, I think it's worthy of discussion with the public.
Okay.
Put it on the agenda.
I will do that. So the next meeting in a week is just a normal council meeting. Unfortunately, I am scheduled to be out, but if there is a fire, I will stay here.
No pun
Because I'm supposed to
intended.
have camping. I hate-
Wait, you're going to cancel?
We're trying to keep fire numbers down.
Just have
Are you going to send
camping with
Ruben?
the right people.
I have to go, I want to be with my son, I just don't want to be with him.
No, but are you going to send Ruben in your place?
Right, I'm saying, yeah.
I've never been to a council meeting with him. I'm excited. Can we put some things on the agenda that give him a really hard time?
Definitely.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, sure we can.
So there's nothing on the agenda regarding the budget for the second meeting, for the June 2nd meeting, and then we'll plan on the June 16th. I'll make those changes. I'll make a few minor corrections as we get data on property tax, because we have to adopt the number.
And you'll have the number the same on both sides of the paper.
I'll have it
On both
correct this time.
sides.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think I do do this, because I have to have this available in the back of the room. We also have to have it in the packet for the June 16th meeting, as well as the property tax hearing on August.
All the noticing has to be done 14 days.
All the noticing, Teresa and I are gonna make this happen.
Lots of noticing.
Yeah, notice.
This is
see yourself
stretching
notice.
her
Yeah.
ability as a,
Oh, I know.
We
Because-
walk every day.
It's crazy.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
That is all.
Anything else from anyone on the council?
nope.
We'll see you on Tuesday. We're adjourned.
Amen.